Is now the ultimate power in the universe.
Sharing the love, spreading the light in real time. Friday night love stream.
Very happy to have a guy we instantly resonated with. Unbiased and on the fence. I'm talking about Shane C. Robinson. And his purpose is to rise above the worldviews that are designed to separate us so we can unite as one.
Sometimes you have to sort of take a step back, and I think Unbiased and on the Fence is a really, really good title for your show, because you are in the central point when you're unbiased and on the fence. That's what it means. It doesn't mean you're indecisive. It means you are taking the central point and you're seeing the multiple perspectives.
Unbiased and on the fence.
If you haven't checked Unbiased on the Fence, go and check his channel out. You might like it.
From Unbiased on the Fence, Shane.
If this much sincerity enters your life, come to this much. What I know, I know. What I do not know, I do not know. I don't believe anything. I don't disbelieve anything. I'm willing to look at everything. You will become a sensible human being.
Have you checked out our website?
Visit us on the web at uotf.net. You're listening to The Love Stream.
All around the world in real time.
I want to thank you for watching, listening, liking, subscribing, and for those who support this channel financially. Thank you. Lots of love and light to everyone out there.
Your calls, your stories, on air. You're listening to The Love Stream.
Sharing the love and spreading the light all around the world. This is Unbiased and on the Fence.
Unbiased and on the Fence.
Hey everybody! It is Black Friday Night Love Stream, I guess we can call it that. Now, I was talking to somebody earlier today and they're like, I wonder why they call it Black Friday. It does have sort of a dark, evil sound to it when you don't know, but it was a term that came up with because all the stores are actually in the black instead of in the red. And the red means they're sort of losing money, and the black means they're pulling a profit. So that's where the whole term came from, just so you guys know. I wanted to share a picture before we go to the phone lines. I have a special guest waiting. Let me see. Let me pull this image up really quick, because the truck drivers, Pam and Daryl, that were on last week, sent me this from Arizona just a couple of nights ago. And this is the moon, and wow, look at this halo around it. I've seen halos around it, but not quite this defined. They had one other picture where you could tell that the halo actually, you can see it a little bit here, but it has sort of a rainbow edge to it. It's coming through a little bit. You can see it there a little bit, but the other picture won't show up straight for some reason, so it's sideways. So it's pretty much this one, but you can tell in the background the trees, it was pulled out a little bit more. But this is so cool when you see this stuff. And I checked the sky that same night and it was clear here, so I guess it's just created by the local atmosphere, some kind of strange phenomenon. Is it chemtrails or is it something else going on? I don't know. You decide. I'm on the fence about it, as always. So, all right, I'm going to go to the phone lines. The first caller, Debbie Hazelton. So happy to have you here. How are you?
I am really well, thank you, Shane, and hi, everyone. I hope you can hear me.
Yep, you're coming through loud and clear.
Great. Well, that's neat about the moon, and that's pretty cool. I never knew that was the origin of Black Friday. That's interesting.
Yeah, that's cool to know that, because it has sort of an evil sound about it. You're like, why did they pick something dark, but it's opposed to red, where they're losing money. So yeah.
I have a few things I want to share, but while you're saying that, it reminds me of, I one time had some micro crystal, they were micro crystal cards. They were these little, almost like little index cards, but they were made out of crystal, and they had little pyramids etched into them.
Oh, wow.
They were different colors. I don't have them anymore. I wish I still had them. But I got to where I was good at feeling the vibrations of the different colors. And one of the things that really stood out for me was that I kept thinking, you know, people would sound like black was dark and rather sinister, but I would hold that black one, and I actually handed this to another a guy who's blind, and I didn't tell him anything. He felt the same thing, that the black one was friendly. It really had a wonderful, friendly, vibrational kind of feel to it. So just interesting that, you know, black.
Yeah. How would you, if you could put it into words, how would you describe the way it feels? Can you, was it like soft or smooth, or?
It was like glass. They were almost like metal, somewhere between metal and glass.
Mm-hmm. The black felt like that compared to
the
others?
No, all of them felt that way. No, the black felt friendly. It felt, it just had a feel of friendly. It felt kind of busy and lighthearted.
Mm-hmm.
It just had a really good feel. Now the copper one, which is for grounding, it felt boring to me.
That's wild. It's so interesting to get the perspective from not being able to see. You know, it's hard for people that see to imagine what it would be like. And that's interesting that you could sense colors and the vibrations of those colors like that.
Well, I had little tiny, in a corner, I had the little tiny etched braille into them so that I could know, but I would pick them up purposely without touching that little corner, without feeling around, just to see how good I was at knowing. And I actually had some sighted people close their eyes to feel some of that, and some of them were good at feeling it, and some just were like, I don't feel anything, you know. But it was just it's fascinating to me, because I've tried to do it with fabric, but this was really much more powerful. I wish I could find them again, because it would be fun to experiment.
Yeah, it sounds like
more
it.
With them. Yeah.
Now, I took, when I was in art school, I took this class called Color Theory, and that's where we really learned all about how there's, you know, additive colors and subtractive colors, like you know, your screen compared to, you know, if your screen doesn't have any colors on it, like a monitor screen, it's black. But if a piece of paper doesn't have any color on it, it's white. So the colors get mixed differently. You know, you got red, green, and blue if it's something that's projecting out light and color, like a screen. But then if you're dealing with like printer colors, you're dealing with like cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. So so it adds to the white on paper, you know, to create the colors, but it's against a black backdrop when you're on a screen. So what's interesting is if you have a shirt that's red, it's red because it absorbs all the colors but reflects red vibrations, color waves. So if you have black, it absorbs all of them. So that's why I asked what it felt like, because if it felt more, you know, friendly and accepting, maybe it was sort of accepting all of your vibrations you were putting out because it was black. That's why like black cars are hotter, because they're not reflecting any of the light. They're just sort of absorbing all of the light rays, the whole color spectrum, you know?
Oh, now that's interesting. Yeah. Well, and when I still have it in a really weird way, but I had light perception and actually wear prosthetic eyes now, but I had light perception, and I could see if somebody was wearing white, there was something all around them that was much brighter for me to, I wouldn't be able to tell you what it was, but there was more light around them because of the white. And like even snow, there was a glistening, or white lines on the parking lots would show up more. So that white was literally brighter, but like I said, that black was just, I mean, it was, and like I said, the other person, when I handed it to him and he couldn't see either, he said, wow, he didn't know what it was. He just said, this feels really friendly. Now, I don't know whether he was feeling it or if he was feeling the fact that I had held it.
Right.
You know? So it's just fascinating.
Yeah, it really is. And I remember the first time, my first experience, because with the white and the black, we were in a car parking lot looking at cars, and there were two identical cars, one black and one white. And it was a sunny day, and you could put your hand on the white one and hold it there, but you couldn't on the black one. It was too hot, you know?
Wow.
So,
yeah. Well, I know. And some dogs, like some of my dogs that have been black, would really not be able to take the heat as much, you know, and would pant a lot more quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's always been strange to me because, you know, like just African American or African people in general, dark-skinned people in general, seem to be able to take the heat more. And I always wondered about that. I'm like, well, it seems like if they would absorb the heat more, you know, because it just seemed like, you know, because I've got black and white family, and it was like, you know, a lot of my white family would get overheated and stuff, you know, like my mom, she didn't sweat very much. So I don't know, maybe it's a sweat thing. Maybe it triggers the skin to release more sweat or something. Who knows?
I wonder, you know, and I wonder in a way if there's a way that black or African American people, I wonder if they're absorbing more on a lot of levels. And I wonder if that's even part of where they end up, you know, having to deal with some of that racism. I wonder if that's an absorption, collective, karmic kind of thing in a way or something.
Yeah, that's a good point. I wear dark hats because I feel like, you know, I'm absorbing more of the cosmic rays and stuff coming in instead of like when I was in Arizona, I wore a white hat because it was hot and I wanted to reflect it because, you know, I didn't want to get overheated because my hat would get hot. So I'm well aware of that. In fact, it kind of bothers my wife that like we shop for a car and I'm like, I want a white one. It's like, white's so boring. I'm like, and I just think of it real technically, you know, I don't think it's pretty. I think, you know, if it's been sitting in the parking lot when I come out the store, I want it to cool off quicker when I turn the air on, not be roasting hot like an oven, you know.
So in a way, what you're saying is the black is absorbing and the white is maybe more projecting.
Yeah, it just bounces all of the rays back off of it. Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I always thought of it like a dark room. You know, if you turn on a light, it's like the light wants to rush into the darkness and light it up. You know, just like us, we're like projecting this light out, and it goes into those dark crevices and cracks of the world, and we like brighten up the dark areas. I don't know, I always feel like that when just projecting love light out. I feel like it goes to those dark places and makes them a little bit brighter, you know.
Well, it's interesting because usually every year when it gets to be like late spring, summer, fall, I start carrying more white purse, white shoes, and then in the winter especially I start doing more brown or black. And this year, for some reason, I've been doing more black, just, you know, pretty solid, some white, but much less white. So I must be absorbing.
Isn't there a rule? There's a rule with clothes. I can't ever remember what it is. You don't wear white after a certain date or something like that.
Yeah. It's seasonal, isn't it? But this year, through the summer, instead of wearing white as much as I usually do, I kept on carrying my black purse and wearing black shoes, and, you know, more of the time than, you know, switching some, but mostly a lot of black. So just kind of interesting that I, you know, chose that. And maybe it has to do with, you know, energy and choices and, you know, just different things going on. Interesting.
Yeah. If I lived in a cold climate, like where it was like pretty much cold all year round and then got really cold, I would definitely have a black car in that situation because then it would like melt off the snow easier and stuff.
That's good. Well, I remember my sister and brother-in-law talking about how they could definitely tell a difference in the amount of dirt that they had for planting and transplanting things. And I think there was more when the moon was full, and they would transplant things, and they would definitely find, you know, there were changes in the amounts of soil that they had when the moon was waxing versus when it was waning.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, my mom worked in an emergency room, and she would like admit people, you know, take their information when they first come in, and she would always talk about, you know, how there would be more women that go into labor during that time and just more crazy type stories of you know, things going on. And it was like, wow, it's weird that the moon could affect people like that. But now I'm you know, I've come full circle, because one other weird thing she would tell me about hospitals, and that I don't know if people know about this or not, but you know, like the old wind-up watches people would have. She said when people died, the watch would stop. It was like their spirit went through it and made it stop, whether it was wound or not, you know.
Oh, wow.
Have you ever heard that?
No, but
Yeah.
that's wild.
It was like, forgive the pun, like clockwork. It would just, you know, they could tell the time of death a lot of times by that, because it would be like their spirit passed through the watch. And I think it was only the wind-up ones, though. I don't think it was battery-operated ones or digital ones. I think it was just the wind-up kind, if I'm not mistaken. She passed away a long time ago, so I can't get clarification on that. And I don't know. Sherry works as a nurse. Have you heard anything like that, Sherry? She's in the chat. I'd be interested in hearing that. But you know, most people have battery powered watches these days, so you know, it's a lot to consider. Things change so much.
And like you were talking about, I think last week, you and some people were talking about some of the weird things that can happen when someone has died, and ways that they can show up. And I can remember after my father died, you know, I can remember my watch, you know, like skipping an hour, or, you know, just weird things in my apartment shifting around, and I know, or the radio coming on, and I'm like, I did not turn that on, you know, and just, I knew it was little signs. I felt like it was, you know, it was my dad at that time, you know, definitely saying hello, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's comforting at those times when, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was Jeanette last week. That was Sherry's friend that she works with. So, yeah, that's awesome. And I'd like to have her back for a full show, because she's got like lots of pictures and stuff that she can show to sort of back up her story. She's got a much fuller story, but we'll probably make it like a produced show rather than a live one. And now they got this new feature on YouTube where you can set it up to air like it's a live stream, and then you can hop in the chat and chat with everybody while it's playing, and then it will record that. So that's awesome.
And it's just recording it then?
It's just, it records the chat just like a live stream does, and then it allows you to get into the chat and watch it along with everybody and make comments about what it's showing and stuff. So I think that'll be really neat. I haven't used it yet. Yeah, I forgot what they call it, premiere feature, like something premieres or something like that, but yeah, they're always changing things up.
I know it, yeah. Well, I had a few things that I wanted to share. One, you mentioned EFT and the tapping last week, and I just wanted to let you know that I am quite good at that, and it's something I use in my practice, and it's something I use on myself. I did get certified in it in the first level, and if you ever want to do more on that, we certainly can. I think it's fascinating, and I've had really good results. I would say, especially with some physical stuff, especially if it's done almost immediately when something happens, like a fall or a bump or a bruise. I can start doing it, and I can get it to where it's almost had 3 days of healing already in like a minute.
Oh,
you know?
Wow. That's amazing. Now that stands for emotional freedom techniques, right?
Right. Yes.
And it's where you tap on just different, I guess, like pressure points. Yeah.
Yeah. There are several, but I think it's 9 that are typically used. And I just have had great success with it. I think that the more honest someone can be about different aspects of what they might be feeling, the more one can admit to anything that could be challenging to the ego, especially, that just tends to speed up results. It's just amazing.
That's funny you say that, because one of the things, as I was sort of beginning to kind of get this unbiased and on the fence outlook at life, and begin to really learn so much more by realizing how much I didn't know, that was one of the main things that really flipped that switch for me, is to not lie, because a lot of times we lie to ourselves more than anyone else. You know, we say we know things that we really don't know. We're just taking someone's word for it that we trust, but then they're taking someone's word for it. And I mean, that's how like religions have survived for so long, you know. there's a, just the controlling part of different parts of life,
Do you know that old story about the family where there was someone who every time she cooked ham, she cut the ends off and then put it into the pan. And somebody asked her, well, why did you cut that end off? And she said, well, that's the way my mom always did it. And so then they went and they asked the mom, well, why did, do you do that when you cook ham? And she said, yeah, I always cut the end off. Well, why? Well, because that's the way my mom did it. And so we just, and they just kept tracing it back through several generations. And finally they got to somebody who said, oh, yeah, we always did it that way because it was the only way it would fit in the pan.
Oh. Oh my God, that's so hilarious. Oh, wow. And my dad had all sorts of, my dad was really like traditional about something, like if you walk in the room and you forget, it was good with some things, you walk in the room and, when you come in the room, you speak, son, you don't just not say hello to our guests. And those things were good, but there were some of them that kind of annoyed me because I've always wore a hat, and it would annoy me that he'd make me take my cap off at like dinner and stuff. I'm like, well, why do we actually take our cap off? Out of respect. Respect for what? You know what I mean? It was like, and he didn't ever have a good answer for me. So it was like, I'm going to end that tradition. I'm not passing that along to my kids because, it's a tradition isn't a good enough answer for why we do that. Maybe there was a time when, you come in from the cold, you're wearing more of an outdoor hat that's got snow on the brim and you don't want it to fall on your plate or something. Maybe there was like a more useful reason for it, but just because of tradition and out of respect is what he would say. I'm like, I didn't see how that was disrespectful. So,
I could see going to the other extreme and saying, you must leave your hat on, because there's so many that will flip to the opposite of, no, leave your hat on. Why? Out of respect.
Right. Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's funny that like times have changed and they could fit the ham in just fine, but they were still cutting the ends off.
Cutting the ends off. A good waste, yep. So another thing I wanted to mention is there's been so much more talk about forgiveness than I heard Eileen last Saturday on Power of Eight. And I keep feeling like there's something that I want to add when I hear people talking about forgiveness. It's like, it's sort of like one of those shoulds out there where people are often told you should forgive, and it's probably one of the hardest things. I heard a nun once say that we should forgive ourselves. It's up to us to forgive ourselves and up to God to forgive everyone else, which I think is a really interesting thing to get our heads around.
Yeah.
But I think there's a piece that is missing that if people could get a hold of it would make would bring the stock of forgiveness up, and where we would get our huge amount on our returns from it, so that it would become more of a wonderful thing to do and not so much of a chore. And that is that I think that it seems to me that as we forgive ourselves and we find a way to forgive others as well, but I really think it is with self first, it seems to me that it opens the door to a huge amount of empathy. And that when we can use that empathy, it's like that is the major way to stop judging, and a major way to neutralize just everything. That when we find that way of not judging and of being able to forgive, it breaks that sense of feeling bound by anything. It really is a way of rewriting the old stories and having a totally different perspective, because then there's that empathy that is with love, and it's not like, well, I'm doing you a favor, or, well, I should forgive you, but just stay far away from me. You know, it's more like, you know, I get it because I've been there. I may not have done all the things, I may not have done what you did, but I've been there in those dark places where I've been alone, or where I've struggled or suffered or guessed at and made lots and lots and lots of mistakes. And it just seems like when we get there, it just neutralizes everything.
Yeah. That's why I love that one saying by Jesus when they were about to stone the lady. He who is without sin cast the first stone. Or at least that's how it used to read. I haven't checked it lately, but it might have changed. But
yeah.
But yeah, that's really that same thing. I mean, who hasn't made a mistake or done something wrong or would take something back? But, you know, at the same time, those are all learning experiences, and it does sort of us a disservice. Like we were saying, you know, me and Eileen were talking how it's, if you sort of like hang in that, you know, resentment, or not even just resentment, but just towards yourself, the unforgiveness towards yourself, then it's like you're not really moving on and learning your lesson and, you know, progressing. It's like you're kind of wallowing in it, you know, rather than, you know, learning the lesson and moving on.
Yeah, and so often when we're doing that, we think that it's a big secret, or that we're alone in it, and that other people are living these lives where everything fits and they're polished. And really, I mean, I just think that in the human experience of things, we all deal with life's messiness.
Yeah.
But I don't even think that's bad. I just think it's understood. I don't think it's held against us.
Mm-hmm.
And if we come out from feeling like, oh, we're terrible and, you know, all that kind of stuff, well then, you know, everybody's walking around at times, everybody's got egg on their faces, or doesn't say thing in the right way or the best way, but it's the best they can do at the time. And
totally,
you know, yeah, it's really, it can be such a freeing thing to come to that. I know it has for me. I mean, I just am amazed at how much I've been able to experience freedom from that. And I just feel like a lot of people, you know, it's almost like they try to cram forgiveness down their throats. And I've often said, well, you know what, I don't think telling somebody to forgive or that they should forgive really works, because it's like telling people to eat liver. You know, if they don't like liver, then they're going to gag. If they do like liver, then chances are they don't need to be told to eat it, you know. Yeah. So I don't know. I just think I haven't heard people say some of these things when they're talking about forgiveness. And it's just something that I felt like I wanted to be able to share here.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I always love your wisdom that you bring, and that's why I like watching your stuff, because it's like little nuggets, and then you mix in humor. You're just so fun to watch and stuff, so I always appreciate it.
Well, I've been speaking more at this local metaphysical church. I'm speaking again Sunday, and I've been speaking almost every month, although in the end of September until the mid of October, I spoke 3 weeks in a row. But all of those are out there either on my channel or on I think I've shared them on my Facebook timeline. But it's been great to be speaking more, and yeah, they tell me the same thing about the humor and the kind of humor and the wisdom.
Yeah, and the way you'll take words and you know, you take them and you're like, wow, I've never looked at that word like that. It's like it's been staring me right in the face this whole time, and I love that, you know.
Oh, thank you.
Well, you know,
that's the other thing about self forgiveness, and really about even with others. I was telling some people, I might have even talked about some of this on my own YouTube channel, because I put one up there a few weeks ago talking about some of this. But, you know I've talked about that idea of mistakes, and how photographers, they end up with a ton of mistakes before they get their really good shots.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking about how people are so eager to dig up dirt on someone. You know, let's find the dirt about this person, and let's find out, you know, who are a politician or famous people. Let's find out their hidden secrets, and let's let's post them out there on, in cyberspace or whatever. And, I'm thinking, wait a minute, we don't go through we don't submit our scraps. Like if we're drafting something or we're writing something, or we make little notes of things, and, we put those out on scrap paper, and we find old pieces of paper and write little notes, and we don't go digging through the trash to find other people's scraps, or we don't dig through to find other photographers' mistakes.
Yeah.
We go, what's the finished product? What's the masterpiece of writing, or what is it that someone learned if they come out with something where they had a bunch of scraps in order to create it, or any creative project. We don't look for, like, okay, in school we're told, show me your work, but we don't expect that from others and from ours. We don't show our work all the time out in the world. So why would we go around asking for people to bring forth, to dig up their mistakes and to dig up their, that's like looking in the trash for people's scraps.
Yeah.
So I don't think we owe that to anyone either.
That's why politics is such a dirty game. I mean, it's just, you just got to get down and dirty to be a part of it. And I just never, I've never envied any even the president. I'm like, I would not want that job, man.
No. Oh, no. I wonder sometimes, what is it like to sleep at night, and what's it like to wake up in the morning, and what are they thinking or feeling? And man, no, I would not want that job. Oh.
Yeah. And it's like, pretty much any president I've been old enough to really kind of watch, it's like they look like they age so much in such a short amount of time that just the stress of it, I just can't imagine. I just wouldn't. I'm glad there's people that want to do it, because I certainly would never want to do it. That's for sure.
Yay for president. Yay. Let the check buffer fill up. Yes.
Yeah, I don't envy them at all. They can have the place in history. I don't want it.
Yeah. I know. I hear you. I can't imagine. I mean, I know that I handle a lot of things well, and I've had to work hard to do it. But I also know that just a little bit of stress in the wrong way can have me like,
yeah,
and I can only imagine, if you're in that role, all the stuff that's coming at them.
I know. And, and I looked at, like, people would, like, clown Bush when he was president because he, like, messed things up all the time. But I never clowned him, because I'm like, that's why I'm not president. I'd be screwing my words up the whole time. There's just no way. So I totally, I never ever made fun of him for that, because I know I'd do the same exact thing if I was in his position. There's no doubt in my mind.
And we all do. I mean, we just, sometimes we're trying so hard to get it right, and that's when we fumble our words, and we say silly things, or sometimes we're trying too hard and or cool, or sound like we know what we're talking about, and oh man, it's just. And what a lot of energy all that is.
Oh, I know. And it's out there forever once you make one little mistake, and all the late night shows, and everybody jumps on it to make fun of you. Whoops.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not very kind at all. I just keep noticing where there is kindness, and being very grateful for it, and doing what I can to. I find myself kinder lately to people that I might not have even really noticed, or I might have, more easily thought, boy, what a pain in the butt they are. Yeah. And now I find myself saying, thank you so much, and wishing them the best. And it's like the good energy just keeps taking over and leading me,
Oh, yeah.
Do you get that? The good energy is leading the way.
Yeah, I really feel like that a lot. That's one of the things that's really helped me stop stressing about all the unknowns. Just, I love seeking out truth and stuff, but I'm okay with not knowing everything, or realizing that I'll never know everything, because I know there's some kind of benevolent force out there that's got my back. I've seen it time and time again, and I just trust that I'm going to be led where I need to go. And as long as you're sort of led by love, and your actions are you know, grounded in love, I don't really feel like you can go wrong. I feel like there's an easy path and a harder path, but you'll still end up where you need to if you're sort of open to the guidance that we get. You know what I mean?
Yep, I do. It's just absolutely amazing. And it seems like this year has been the most amazing. Even though I know I've been on this path for many, many years, it feels like this year has been a real skyrocketing year of feeling that much change, that much greater ease. It's just amazing.
Unmuted.
Whoops, I realized that. You know what? Nancy was asking, she was saying, wow, a metaphysical church. Can you like tell us a little bit about that for people that's never heard of it? Because, you know.
Yes. Okay, so when I was in actually back in 7th grade, I had a teacher who talked about science of mind, which came out of a tradition called religious science. Now, we're not talking Scientology, but we are talking, now it's known as Centers for Spiritual Living. But it's one branch of metaphysical church called under the banner of New Thought. So Centers for Spiritual Living used to be Science of Mind, came out of something called religious science. And then I had heard of them all the way back in the 60s. I'm dating myself here, but all the way back then. But I knew that their way of thinking, it was always about, you know, God within and God the good, and talking about God as though it wasn't just he, but it was more like an energy, an essence, he and she, and more than he, she, more than gender, more like an it, you know, but really very positive. So that happened then. And then when I was in college, I was exposed to something called Unity. Now, Unity does profess to being Christian based, but it's also metaphysical. So Science of Mind or Centers for Spiritual Living, they are not Christian based necessarily. Well, this church that I've been speaking at is, it's called Spiritual Enrichment Center of Dothan. And Spiritual Enrichment Center actually is a combination of Unity and Centers for Spiritual Living. It's actually both, representing both. So if you've ever heard of Daily Word publication, that comes out of Unity. And that's been out for, somewhere over 100 years. That's been out for a really long time. If you've ever heard of Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, their Unity. Ernest Holmes is the main person behind the Science of Mind or Centers for Spiritual Living. So those two branches, though, are like I said, what we would call New Thought. And there are many churches all over the world that are Unity or Centers for Spiritual Living, New Thought churches all over. You can look it up in lots of different states even and see if there's a Unity or Centers for Spiritual Living or New Thought metaphysical. And you might even have metaphysical bookstores, and you can check with them and see if they know of any metaphysical or New Thought churches in the area. There are many. It's quite amazing.
Yeah, the place where I got my aura picture done, that's also, they're like a bookstore and a crystal shop right next door. I think they're all owned by the same people, or they're affiliated or something. But anyway, they have some kind of, you know, metaphysical type service on Sundays. So I found that interesting when I went in there. That's cool.
Cool. Yeah, it was really interesting. There was one place, I think it was in South Florida when I lived down there. There was a bookstore called the I Am Metaphysical Bookstore. And I used to always think it was funny to imagine the person answering the phone saying, "Good morning, I am."
I love that.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Oh, yeah. but it's so great to be around like-minded people who just are eager and hungry and enthusiastic about new thought, about metaphysics, who just love to learn more and talk about it and just, you know, be in that energy and sing metaphysical songs. And I mean, there's tons of metaphysical artists.
I've noticed that with the songs in the services I've seen, that of the one you go to, they were like singing an old Crosby, Stills and Nash song that, you know, we would have burned in hell at my church if we sang something like that. You know?
Oh, we do. We are a singing group, and sometimes at the end of one of my talks, I'll teach a song. And that's another thing I was thinking of, Shane. I bet you and Eileen and me, if we ever sing together, we would just put some great music together. That would be really fun.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
That would be really, really fun.
So tell everybody, you do several different things. You've actually been on the show before, and I got your links there or whatever. And you can feel free to add them whenever you get off the air. You can put them in the chat, you know. But you do a podcast. Actually, do a couple podcasts, don't you?
I do. I do music shows, and I do podcasts, and I also do put things up on my channel. And I need to do even more. And I thought I was going to start trying to do the live, and I just haven't figured that one out yet with how to handle the chat and talking at the same time. But although what you're talking about on YouTube, that might be something, then go back and chat, listening to it with everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do all those different things, and I do Bach flower remedies. And Bach flowers are they're not aromatic, but they are flower essences that work on emotions, and they are phenomenal. So I can help make formulas for people. I really do a lot with helping people to reframe a lot of experience, and as you've mentioned, with words and working with words. And I was in the mental health field for over 30 years. I am ordained through an organization that recognizes individual ministries, so I can really address the spiritual and the intuitive. And I do the tapping, and I do public speaking. And but the other thing I am very happy to add, today I did my first BQH session.
Oh, wow. Let's hear about that.
Oh, it was just so cool. I did hypnosis in my practice many years ago, and I did past life regression. And yet, you know, even though I finished with this course a couple of months ago, I just kept kind of, feeling busy and just having so many other things to attend to. But also, we've been dealing with this house and what's going on in what room. And so I was trying to figure out what room I was going to use for in-person sessions, and I wanted to start with in-person. And so anyway, I had one of the people who does my hair. I knew from talking to her that she was going to be super receptive to it, and she just couldn't wait. She just couldn't wait. And so today we did it, and it was 3 hours by the time we did everything. And at one point I thought, oh gosh, where's this going to go? And I hope it, because she was sort of at the beginning, she's like, I don't really see anything yet. And I thought, okay. So I just, asked her a little bit more about what she was aware of, and what she was, what she was aware of, and where she was and who she was. And it turned out she actually was out of body, and she ended up seeing her daughter there. And, we kind of processed through some of that, and they were working. So I don't think it was this life. It was a different time. But then, we seem to have gone through that. And so I just encouraged her to go quiet and go within again, and to see where she would go. And holy cow, she went into this whole kind of thing that it was almost like speaking in tongue, although I could understand her, but I mean, it was like a sing-songy voice and a different accent, and
oh wow, she really connected good. Sounds like,
and all kinds of like reframing of a lot of biblical stuff, and it was like talking about, it was like higher self, but they never gave it a name. They never gave who they were a name, but really, really talking about, you know, her as a little girl. And so, you know, it was really interesting. And it built up and built up. And then she was crying and talking. And then she simmered down and she said, "Oh my God," she said, "I feel so free." Mm-hmm. And she just said she really got what she wanted. And then we just kept, you know, it was like she was almost like fully back right after, spontaneously. And then we talked a little bit more. And then I said, "Well, does your higher self want to come forward?" And it was like it was someone else, or a voice of a collective that came forward. And there was just another whole big thing about what people were needing in terms of truths and the way to get to them. And I mean, I have to go back and hear it, but it was that sing-songy, different accent, almost different. I mean, it was just amazing. And then she simmered down again, and she was like, she was again super, super appreciative, and just feeling like she got a major amount of work done, and a block that had been in her way. And when I woke up this morning, I just kept feeling like, okay, I'm just going to trust. It's like I'm going into the zone that I went into when I decided to take the course, which is like, you know, I keep feeling like we are all in trance most of the time anyway. And so we can decide whether we want to be in a trance with source, or in a trance with, you know, mind control. You know?
Totally.
And so I went into that wonderful trance with source, and I started to freak out a little bit this morning. I thought, well, you know, my dog gets very excited if she hears the doorbell, and what if she starts to bark and she, you know, freaks this person out? And I just shifted and I said, no, I'm just going to trust, you know, I'll ask her angels, I'll ask my angels to please, you know, keep the energy high and not have any of that happen. And I didn't even have to remember to go ask. That saying I was going to ask did it. And none of that happened. I mean, you know, it was just perfect. It was just fine.
Wow. I often would like to have people that's taken the course come back on and share their thoughts on what they felt like it, you know, if they liked it or if they found it easy or difficult to follow, because so what was your experience? What was your impression of the course?
Well, and I was a little worried, you know, when Candace and I talked, because she was sounding like she was kind of amazed that I really wanted to do the work. Like, you know, she said, well, like she depends very heavily on seeing everything. And so we talked about that, and then she said, well, I'm really curious. I want you to help me with making this course, you know, because we're dealing with two different websites, and what do we need to do to make this course accessible in any way? And so one of the first problems I had, and I almost wrote you because I knew you had been through it, was some of those PDFs just were very stubborn and not downloading right. And it turned out that once I switched browsers, everything worked fine. But, you know, and then some of them were just not saving right. But then I ended up getting all the PDFs. I transfer them over to this note taker kind of device that I have, where I can read everything in Braille. And so I'm able to read those PDFs just fine.
Right. I was thinking, I figured it seems like, you know, you can hear the videos and you don't really need to see them because there wasn't like anything on the screen other than, you know, people talking. And then with the PDFs and just the course material, You know, you can just, because you see with your fingers, basically. You're just reading. Yeah.
Yep. So I have all the scripts. I have somebody that's going to put them into hard copy for me into that notebook, which would be nice for just kind of flipping through and stuff. But I just, you know, the only other thing I asked about was there were some JPG files that turned out to be samples of her taking notes in a session, and JPG is graphical, you know, so those didn't translate at all. But that wasn't any big deal. I didn't really need to have those notes. Those were just samples, and I didn't have a problem with the 2 different websites. And one of the things that was really cool that happened today too was this client was saying that before the session, when we did the interview, she was saying that she felt a lot of times like there was a male presence that was around her that was giving her guidance, and someone else had told her one time that they saw a male presence around her. And so I was asking her if there were angels or guides that might be able to help her with some of the sort of stuckness that she was feeling. And, you know, she was like, yeah, you know, there's this male energy I keep sensing that's around me, but I had this different sense. I said, I'm wondering about Mother Mary. And as I said it, I thought, oh man, you know, maybe I'm, you know, interfering with, you know, I don't want to be putting out there something that isn't for her at all, you know, by saying, after she's talking about this male. And she said, oh, that is so interesting because Mother Mary came to me a while back, you know, and it turned out to be absolutely perfect. I mean, it, like really where she went with that, and a lot, you know, that she connected with Mary today. So it is so much about, for me anyway, I really believe it is so much about trusting our own intuition and trusting our own process. And I think that's why she created it, knowing how important it is that we who want to practice it listen to our intuition, because that's what we want the people that come to us to do. We want them to be able to come from that spiritual, metaphysical, intuitive place. So we need to do that in practice. So that just, you know, I mean, I found when I wrote to Candace early on when I was taking the course, I quibbled with some of the answers to the quizzes because I got a couple wrong in the beginning, and I was like, no, that's, you know, there's lots of ways you can look at this. And I was being very left brain about it.
Yeah.
And
I know exactly what you mean.
She said, I think you can change those. Well, no. And I wrote her and I said, I don't think there's a way to change them. And then I came to the lesson that was dealing with left brain, right brain. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, I need to quit approaching this in a left brain way.
Yeah.
And then I did. And I shifted into this very deep place that just, I was like, you know, I feel like I'm getting information in this course that is not new, and a lot of it's stuff I already know, but I need to be in it. It isn't about it isn't about left brain. It's about allowing the process. So I just went to that place, and I just keep going back there. And wow, I mean, that's just where I decided to go today and doing that session.
That's awesome. I think it's an excellent tool to have in your toolbox. Even, you know, no matter really what you're doing, it seems like there would be times that it would just be useful to be able to do it. So I'd like to make more time for it too. Yeah.
So what you did, I know you said you did one session with your daughter.
Yeah. Right? And our schedules haven't been lining up right. I've been doing other stuff and busy with these meetups and planning and stuff, but I want to do, you know, my other daughter and my wife, and I've got a waiting list already, and I just learned it.
I bet you do. Yeah, I know. I have several people that want them, and I just, you know, I don't know what I'll end up doing, but you know I'll do some for free, probably always, even though I'm just, you know, getting my feet wet with it. But I also know this person felt like giving me money, and I wasn't going to say no, you can't give me money, because she's come to me before for other things. So
Yeah.
and I feel sometimes like saying I'm financed by God and just letting it flow. If people want to give money, they give money. If it doesn't work out for some, then trusting that that's okay, and trusting that it'll come from other places. Whether I'll put I don't even know what most people are getting for BQH these days.
Yeah, I don't know. I know that it's so affordable to take the lesson that you can, do a pretty reasonable price and, make all your money back from probably maybe 3 sessions or something, because.
Yep. Yeah. And it just seems like, it seems like something that can be such a grassroots way of just helping people and allowing people to speak their truth. And yeah, I heard all that with Nathan and all that. And it may come to a place where we don't need it, because the veil's so open that we're just all, so much more open and aware. Maybe we won't always need it, but what a wonderful way to help people to get away from all the distractions, all the noise, and to just come from that deeper place of who we are.
Yeah, that's totally true. And I think really now is probably more important than ever, because it's like people sometimes just need one little nugget of information to help, move them forward. So.
Oh, yeah. And it could be, like you said, just a nugget, just something. And like, it just totally opens things up, and wow, and once that happens, there's no turning back.
Yeah, definitely.
So absolutely incredible. I'm so thrilled and happy for you with that Sedona trip, and these people that have been calling you who met with you there. And I just, I'm so happy that you went. And it's like, do you feel, I hear it. Do you feel like there's a whole lot of more change that's been happening in you lately?
Yeah, I feel like, the walls are coming down, because I try to stay in my shell. I know it seems like I'm really this outgoing person or whatever, but really it's just on the channel. In real life, I definitely just kind of stick to myself, and it's really, I don't know, it's really started bringing me out of my shell to see the effect it has to meet with other people and to get over that, really, and I think a lot of people in both Sedona and in this Tulsa meetup we just had, we're kind of taking a brave step out of their shell to come and meet one another. But I feel like everybody really appreciated it, and they feel like they made a connection,
Well, that's exactly what I was thinking, observing. Last week I was listening, and I think it was last week or the week before, and I noticed it was like this. I've always felt the love coming from you, but it was an even more open and softer, warmer love that I could feel coming from you, and just like, wow, I just think it's happening with so many of us. It's incredible.
So. Oh, definitely. Yeah, I'm excited about Austin too. So.
Oh, that's
for New Year's. Yeah, that's the New Year's one. So.
That is so cool.
Now, what part of the country you're in? Is it Colorado?
I'm in Alabama. I'm in Alabama, which is so odd, because I've been here 4 years, but I'm not what I would call an Alabamian, but I do like it here, I have to admit. I'm very close to the Florida line.
Oh, okay.
Very close to the Florida line.
Oh, yeah, the Panhandle, I guess it would be then.
I am. I'm very close to that. Very close. About an hour from Tallahassee.
Very nice. It'd be cool if you can make it out sometime,
I would love it. I would absolutely love it. Oh my God, what a thrill that would be. And you never know. I mean, that would be great. Is your wife going to go with you to Austin this time?
Oh, she was, but I don't think she is now. But yeah, I'll be there. So.
But it's
she
so
did
cool.
come to the Tulsa one though.
What was it like for her?
I think she thought it was cool. I think she enjoyed meeting everybody and everything, and talking about the Mandela effect with a group that didn't think it was all that strange and stuff was, I think, you know, because, you know, she kind of thought I lost it for a while there. And so.
And some of your new promos or sounds or music or things that you're playing there, in, you know, when you take little breaks or.
Yeah, sound images, they call them.
Is that your, what do they call that?
They call them sound images.
Sound images. Okay. Yeah. Is that, I hear other voices. Is one of those your son?
Yep. Yeah, he says, have you checked out our website, I think, on one of them. And then I've got my 15-year-old that does all the other voices and stuff. So.
Okay. All right. I thought I'll have to listen again, but I thought that, yeah, I thought maybe one of them was your son. It sounded like that.
And even though she's 15, she has a lower voice too. So it might have sounded boyish. Huh?
Yeah, it might have been her.
Yeah, it might have been her.
It definitely sounded like, you know, a different version of you, you know?
Yeah. She's got a nice, thick sound to her voice, you know, for being 15. I thought, I'm like, you got a great voice. You need to come do this. And then her voice, she kind of does this blah thing when she talks. And I'm like, that's perfect. That's like how they do announcing nowadays. They have sort of this bored, like blah sound in her voice, and she'd do something and I'm like, perfect, and she'd like roll her eyes at me and stuff. But I thought it was great, you know. I was happy. I was like, that's perfect. And
I love it. Yeah, we should you know, make, like, maybe I'll get you to see if you would do some things for that I use in any of my shows, and I could do some stuff for you where we say,
totally, that'd be awesome.
It would. I'd love it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, I would love to have you back for a full show to talk about the tapping and the EFT and stuff. I think that's a very interesting topic that I know very little about. I mean, I've seen a little bit on it, but I think that would be something people would really enjoy hearing about.
I would love to, and we could do some, and, you know, we could, and if somebody wants to, you know, come and have me work specifically with them, you know, maybe I'd give that away. You know, it would be fun though. I just always love, and I jump in and I say hello in the chat, and then many of you probably write to me and I don't always say anything. It's just the chat is really kind of a little it's a little weird in a way for me to try to, but I read a lot of them, and I'll probably go back and read through this one.
Let me ask you this: what do the emoticons come up for you? Like, is it like red heart, blue heart, green heart?
Yeah.
Oh
on
my
the
God.
Phone,
yeah.
On the phone, they do. On Windows, they come out as numbers, and I'm like, what is that? It'll go like 235 543. You know, I'm like, what the heck is that? You know, and then if I look at the same thing on my phone or on my Mac, then I'll hear the emoticons, you know. But I have fun picking them out. Like, I'll pick out emoticons, and I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. That's like, you know, I remember one time I wrote something about a Deepak Chopra book, and he got on Twitter and he followed me long enough for a minute to send me a direct message and smiled. And I said, boy, now that's the first accessible smile I ever got.
That's awesome.
It really is fun. It's fun to put those in there. I wish I knew how to do them in Windows. There probably is a way. I just don't know. There's probably keystrokes. And some of my software, like if I write a smiley, I'll write colon dash right paren. And my Windows, it will say smiley, but I haven't gotten it to read all those others with red heart and, you know,
right,
rolling on the floor laughing and some of those.
Yep. And like the angel one, I realize it says innocent. I use that all the time as an angel, you know, but not as innocent. I really wouldn't call myself innocent, but I see that's how it comes up when you hover over it. So that's interesting.
It says like different colored hearts and then hands pressed together.
Right.
But then sometimes I have to go looking through pages and I have to swipe around until I get the one I want and then lift up on it. And then I have to go back to the heading and swipe to the next page of all of those and try to hear the ones I want. Like I'm looking for the kiss mark. I want to get my favorites all on one page because there's a frequently used page. Yeah. So I'm trying to find, I have to go and find like, you know, some of the others that I really would like. And accidentally I get some on there that, you know, I'm like, no, I don't want those, some of those other weird ones.
Right. Well, there's a cool one I'm looking here. It's like little stars in a circle, but it says Dizzy. So you would never know that that's sort of a happy star looking one, you know?
Some of them will say heart with stars.
Yeah.
And, you know, 2 hearts. Yeah, you know, but it probably says other things. There are other things. Like there's one, I think, why would people send it? It's smiling with clenched teeth is what it says. So it sounds like something someone would say when they're angry, you know,
right.
Like clenched teeth. But people use it all the time, so it must look really cute. You know, it must look really like something other than what it says.
Right. It must look just like a big full smile. I was trying to see. Yeah. Which one? Let me see which one. Oh, that says grin. Okay, so.
Oh, okay.
So grin is like, let's see. That one's, grin and grinning are real similar, except the eyes are a little bit more closed. So yeah, I don't know what the clenched teeth. I think maybe it's this one. Let me look really fast. Grimacing. Okay, that sounded like what, you know, clenched teeth. So grimacing looks like with your teeth showing, you know, like what you were saying.
Then there's some graphic that people send a lot of times in, and I guess they're doing a smiley, and I guess I've written it, and other people who are reading, maybe, are they reading on the Mac or are they reading in Windows? I don't remember, but it will not come across saying smiley or something. It will have a J in there somehow. And so I've had people think, you know, people who are blind read it and go, oh, there's a J in there. And I'm like, no, that's not a J. It's a smiley.
And it must be like a crooked smile or something, huh?
I guess.
It's kind of like the one with the tongue sticking out has a P in it to like indicate the, you know.
Oh, yeah.
So. There's a
I think it's semicolon P. If you write semicolon P, it'll say smiley with tongue out or something.
Yeah.
Smile with tongue out.
That's hilarious.
It really is funny.
That's cool that you're able to still do all that. It just takes a little bit more work.
It does, but it is very cool. What a game changer. I mean, I've got apps that read barcodes, and, you know, sometimes it takes a little longer, but I might, you know, if I'm wanting to know, you know, I have these Mary's Gone crackers. I wanted to know I had 3 boxes, which ones were they, you know, so I'll get this app out and see if it says, you know, which kind it is, or I might look up package directions for things.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have this service called Aira, AIRA, and it is pricey, but it uses either the camera on the phone or a pair of glasses that I wear, and I call these agents, and these are people that work. If anybody's looking for a part-time job, this is a pretty cool place that hires these agents. So they look through their camera, they look through on their computer screen, and they're able to see either through my phone camera or my glasses and help me with stuff. So they've even to get into my computer and help me with like my current picture on Facebook they took, but like they're able to help me if I'm shopping or if I'm looking for spices in the kitchen, or I want to know how something works like an appliance. They're able to look it up and or see the panel on through my glasses, or if I'm out walking, they're able to help me, you know where I am or where I'm going. They can see 120 degrees all around me when I'm wearing those glasses.
Wow, that's amazing.
It is.
That's such a cool service.
It is. There's just it's a great time to be alive. That's for sure.
Oh,
really.
Definitely.
Identifying money. I mean, that one app does that. I mean, that's, there's just, and using GPS apps and, helping other people have directions.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff.
Oh man, I bet things have changed a lot in the last 2 decades. That, I mean, went from no help to a lot of help.
Yeah, they sure have.
Wow.
You know, to be able to use that much technology and have it more affordable, and you know, all those things. I mean, it's great.
Yeah, that IRA sounds really expensive.
Well, it is. I pay, it's like another cell phone. I'm paying $89 a month for 100 minutes. And that could go, I mean, those, you know, I'm being very frugal with that, but there are people that are paying like $300 and $400 a month. I think there's an unlimited plan of $400 a month. That's steep. Wow. That's steep, but
it helps if that's, I mean, it's like, I don't know, it's it just seems like it might be necessary if you're really on the go a lot and always going around it, you know, because one time of handing out the wrong bill or something, and you know, you can lose a lot of money too. So it sounds like a great service.
I haven't used them for that, but I, you know, and I always just kind of kept track. I mean, even when I was doing massage, had tip money and had to fold. I would always fold my money differently, but it's still every once in a while I'd make a mistake, and so yeah, there are apps and talking money identifiers now, and you know, things like that sure do help. And I think the thing I like about IRA is, even though I live with other people, but I haven't always, I don't have to depend on anyone specific, you know.
Yeah.
I may not want to wait, you know, for somebody to not be busy. I can call when I need it and say, oh, what's this? Or how do I do such and such? Where do I go for blah, blah, blah? Or, you know, whatever, you know. So it's really great.
That's awesome. Well, I just love you to death, Debbie. I love when you come on. You're such a sweet spirit. I want to definitely have you back soon. So we will talk and come up with a time, and we'll do that show, because that'd be.
I would love it, and I love all of you. I really, really love you all, and you can. Well, I'm on Facebook and Twitter, and you know, here on. Love to be here on Shane's channel and have my YouTube channel, and just know that we're all connected. I just send you all bundles and bundles of love. Thank you so much for all being such a great community. Boy, I mean, life changed when I found your channon.
Oh, thank you so much. It changed for me too, but you know, I'm kind of the one doing it or whatever. But mine's changed in a wonderful way. I definitely can't complain.
Oh, well, you know.
I'm honored, you know. I really am.
Yeah, well, I can definitely relate to that. Well, thank you for allowing me to be here tonight. It was a real privilege and a joy.
Yeah, and hop back in the chat if you're able to. That way people can click on your name and subscribe to your YouTube channel, because I'm sure a lot of people might be interested in the metaphysical stuff, and it helps to watch your videos and say, oh, that might be a cool place to kind of visit and stuff, you know?
Okay, well, church. I will. I'll come in. So, all right.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Debbie. Lots of love to you. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Your calls, your stories, on air. You're listening to the Love Stream.
Sharing the love and spreading the light all around the world. This is Unbiased and On the Fence.
All right, gonna go back to the phone lines. Sorry, I'm trying to find my window here. Let me see. There's the unmute button. 514. Is this Not So Fancy Nancy?
Yes, it is.
How is it going? I'm glad I guessed right. Yeah, sorry about that. I had Debbie. I said she was having problems with this phone system or whatever, which is, you know, it's people have trouble with it that can see. So I was like, you know, she can't get to the stuff in the description box, and I was like, well, why don't we just talk on Hangouts? That'd be much easier. So yeah.
No worries.
Yeah, that's why you couldn't hear her though, and I didn't realize that until you told me. I'm like, oh crap, yeah, you can't hear if you're listening. But luckily, not a lot of people were sitting there waiting.
It was a one-sided conversation I was listening to until I said, "What? Why don't I just put on turn on my Apple TV,
Right.
put on YouTube, and find it so I could catch up with what Debbie was saying.
Yeah, it was
But
a
at
great
the-
conversation.
But because there's a delay also.
Yeah. Yep.
So it was funny. How was your Thanksgiving, Shane?
It was interesting. I was thankful for a lot, but yeah, that's kind of a weird answer, huh? Yeah. Yeah, that's about all I could say about it, really.
All right. I won't dig deep.
Okay.
Well,
I'm thankful every day. Let me put it that way.
yeah, that's good. That's good. That's what we need to be. Oh, Shane, I don't even know where to begin. I was trying to kind of like put these things in sequence here because, as you all know, I'm always kind of all over the place. I always have to back up to something. Oh, no, this happened and then that. But anyway, I'll tell you pretty much what I'll be talking about. Some revelations, narcissism, codependency, inner childhood trauma, reliving a past trauma, forgiveness, which was interesting because that came up a lot lately too, just as Debbie was talking about with Eileen, sexuality, and the female collective sexual trauma, which is stuff that I have been going through since my BQH.
Well, Sherry's saying spill. Tell Nancy spill, and then just say I'm kidding. I guess spill the beans about spill. Yeah.
Oh, she did?
Yeah, overprotective.
Oh, she wants to hear. Oh, yeah, she wants to hear. Yeah, the story. Okay. Yes, because she was a bit in the loop here and there. I was giving some little hints, but
Right, because you actually, I totally forgot. I forgot you went on this trip. Are you back home now?
Yeah, I got home at 4 a.m.
Oh wow, okay. So did you enjoy your trip?
I enjoyed my trip.
Awesome.
I had some rough moments, but you'll get to hear it.
Okay.
So, and I'm gonna be raw here also. So
okay, no problem.
Bear with me, people. So since the BQH, all of you know that I've moved out. I was in a 12-year relationship. I've been on my own for almost 5 months now, and I work with my ex / not ex anymore, but you'll hear the story. And I got to a point where, I've been good on my own, happy in my space, able to do a lot of self-work, and wanted a lot of my independence and to just begin, a new chapter in my life and end that chapter with let's give him a name, Chris. That's his name.
Okay.
So anyway, I started, this is embarrassing, but whatever, okay? I went on Tinder. And just for fun, I put on the description that I was not looking for anything serious, and I was not looking for any one-night things either, that I was coming out of a long relationship and whatsoever, and just someone to chit-chat with. And which is fun because I bumped into someone that I went to high school with.
Oh, wow.
So we're staying in touch, yeah. But just friendly. We're staying in touch. And I take Latin dance classes with one of my good friends, and she was in a narcissist codependent relationship for 26 years. And we were going to her birthday, the November 2nd, a birthday dinner, which my ex, Chris, was invited to the dinner as well. And we had decided, okay, we'll go together. That way I'll drive because I don't drink. And he drinks a little more, so I said, I'll drive your car back home, whatever. But his behavior really bothered me, and I'm on the drive home in my head, and I didn't want to have a fight with him, but I said in my head, this is it. We cannot hang out together anymore. I have to switch sections at work. I can't be around this energy anymore. When I left originally, I felt like I was raising my frequency to a point where I was kind of like pushed out of that relationship and that home.
Mm-hmm.
So that night was kind of a confirmation that, okay, I need to really cut the cord. So I was a bit cold at work with him, and, it says no more carpooling. I'm taking my own car, yada, yada. And what happened? Monday night, the following Monday, so this was a Friday night that this happened, and was really cold with him on the weekend shifts. And then Monday night, my friend that I had the dance courses with, which was her birthday that we were celebrating, admits to me that you've been getting under my skin lately, Nancy, and I was trying to figure out what it is. And she used to see a psychologist for a long time. She's done a lot of self-work also. She even studied psychology as well, and she knows how, like, when you get triggered, how to kind of try and find out why you're being triggered. And she says, you're getting on my nerves, and I finally figured out why. And she says, because I see myself in you. The way you would be defensive towards Chris, the way you kind of followed his, how do you describe? Sometimes, when you're in a relationship a long time, you lose yourself and you kind of like follow mostly the other person. And and I'm empathic too. So I think most empaths are codependent. From what I've been reading and listening to, I'm getting that confirmation. So you kind of lose where your emotions are, because you feel everybody else's energies and feelings, so you don't know where yours end and theirs begin. So you kind of take on the other person's feeling. So where was I? Yes, so she tells me this, and then okay, I'm like in my head a little upset, but I'm taking it. I'm taking it anyway, And and she was a bit rough with me. And the next day she calls me. She says, "I feel really bad. I feel like I was really rough with you." And I said, "You know what? No way. I need a friend like you. You were direct, and I needed to hear those things. And that's what a good friend is."
Yeah.
And I realized a lot about my relationship. And it's funny because on my feed that morning, after actually just before I spoke to her, I sent her this video that popped up on my feed from Candace Vandel, who's a spiritual, not a spiritual healer, but she helps people with relationships and indigo children, indigo adults who are usually people who have ADD or ADHD or I can't think of all the descriptions, but we'll get to that at some point. And the video was exactly that, narcissist and codependent relationship. And when I watched it, it just hit me like a ton of bricks. I'm like, oh my God, this is the relationship that I was in. It really described both of us. But what she said also is that both parties, the codependent and the narcissist, have suffered the same childhood wounds, same childhood traumas of rejection or abandonment. And you just, you take on a different way of dealing with it in your life.
Yeah.
Whereas, let's say, he became kind of a false confidence with the wall up and very authoritative, and where I was more of the codependent person. But it comes down to the same wounds, and that's why we were attracted to each other. So that's a huge revelation that I have that day. And I had this great conversation with my friend about it. I sent her that video, and she says, "Oh, wow, that is exactly you guys," because she knows both of us very well.
Yeah.
And like, she has nothing against Chris. She loves him very much. He's a great guy. He's comedic. He's funny. He's generous. He's kind. But there's these things, right? Yeah. Also, the pattern of his parents and the pattern of my parents, they resemble each other. So anyway, so I have this revelation. I break down. I have a total meltdown, and I'm thinking, the only person I can talk to right now, because I had already spoken with my friend. I'm literally shaking right now talking to you, Shane.
You're in the right place.
I know, thank you so much. So I think of texting Chris, because at the same time, he's been my support for the last 12 years as well. I mean, he's been there through my depression. We've been through a lot of things together. And I had realized that his daughter because he had a daughter and I had a son, and they weren't each other's.
Mm-hmm.
And she's 21 now. She's out of the house, but she's got some, really bad lifestyle. But anyway, I've had my closure with her, which I'm very grateful that I was able to ask her for forgiveness for me, myself, not have been the stepmother that I should have been.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that I was dealing with things the way that I only knew how. And I realized why I had difficulty with her, it's all coming back, is because I saw myself in her. She was very a codependent, needy child, and she went through so much. Her mother was in a depression. She lost her grandmother, and her dad, Chris, was not really around for her, and I was the one who had to take on that responsibility, and I had some resentment towards him for not being what she needed him to be.
Right.
And then I would think, oh, geez, he does so much for her in other ways, that I would make the excuse to myself, like, well, what are you complaining about, kind of thing, you get this, you get that. I didn't have this with my father. Oh, I'm really telling you some deep things about me here. Anyway, and which is why she's been away for a few years now, but which is why just before I left him, or after I left him, I had texted her a very heartfelt message, and like I mentioned before, but told her things that I know she needed to hear, and things that I would have loved to hear myself, from my own parent.
Yeah.
So I'm at this point now. So I text him, and I'm falling apart, and I'm telling him, I feel like a little girl who needs her dad
Mm-hmm.
to tell her everything is going to be okay, and to give her direction, and I don't want to get emotional. Anyway.
I understand, definitely.
And the funny thing is that, oh my God, I just lost my train of thought because I got emotional, and I'm trying to keep it together. Okay, it'll come back to me.
So yeah,
but,
you were saying just a little girl that wanted, direction from her dad and stuff.
Yeah, and I'm like crying saying this to Chris, and I'm like, I can totally relate to your daughter, because I had told you so many times, girls, they'll go off, find as much attention from other men as possible,
yeah,
to fill that void that they didn't get from the first relationship with a man that they had when they were a child,
yeah,
which is your father. So, and I think I missed something at the same time. I did miss something. Just before I had that breakdown, I told you that I had gone on Tinder, and no, sorry, that's not true. Oh no, I'm messing everything up now.
No, that's fine.
I met someone on Tinder. We're getting along, and then I have this realization about the narcissist codependent thing,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't have that breakdown yet and the conversation with my ex, but I'm talking with this person. He's accepting the things that I talk about unspirituality and stuff like that, and it's like everything that I want from a partner, and saying all the right things. I don't even know what he looks like. So look, I'm a real fool, and a real like no online dating experience whatsoever,
Yeah.
And people told me afterwards, you don't accept someone who you don't even know, you haven't even seen his picture. First of all, they can be married, they can be full of BS, and all.
But they could send a fake picture too, so that doesn't mean a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but the thing is, it was the description that I liked about that attracted me to the person. But you know what? I know everything is a lesson.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, this is, oh wow, blah blah blah. This is great. This guy's telling me everything that I need to hear, and this and that. And then finally, I'm going to find out. He's going to send me a picture, and not just that. Like my friend was telling me, you're out of control, Nancy, because you think this guy is cute at work. You think this guy that's dancing with you at my dance course is cute, and I'm like, it's totally not your style. You think everyone is cute, and then I realized, oh my God, it's like I'm attracted to somebody who's knows what they're doing, okay? They're showing me the dance steps of my class, my salsa class, and they're confident, they know what they're doing. And I realize that's what I'm searching. I'm searching for that, what I didn't get from my dad.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I feel like I'm in my early 20s again, going through this, desperate to find what I've been missing, and looking for it in anyone that gives me a little bit of attention, but that shows some kind of confidence.
Right.
So this mixed in with all this, and then finally that evening, I'm completely picturing somebody completely different, and he sends me the picture, and I was like, oh, dear God. I was, not that the person was ugly or anything, but it's just not what I expected, and not, it was another realization right there that I was, like my friend said, it was all an illusion. It's what you were hoping and what you wanted it to be. And that feeling of being crushed and disappointed and foolish and ashamed of myself just brought me back to my 20s when I was doing those same things, looking for, like crushing on the barman and going to the bar and spending at the bar, and the guy is just making freaking money, and just that low self-esteem.
You've got to send me this picture later, right?
I'm sorry?
I said you've got to send me this picture later. I'm just wondering what it could have looked like to make it's really bothering me. I won't share it.
What's the funny thing? And you know what's the funny thing? It's like, well, it's because he told me he was dark-skinned, and, you know, I was thinking he was black, and I just had this whole different idea of who he was, and it was completely not that. But what the funny thing is the beard that he had looked exactly like my ex's beard.
Oh, no.
My ex, I mean Chris's beard.
Right. Oh, my God.
So, and it's just because I felt foolish. And my friend said to me, Nancy, first of all, you got to laugh about it. That's all. Because the guy, he could have been married, lying to you, and, you know, he's not putting his picture up. You know, it means something. And she's got a lot more experience than me. She's older than me. She's 56. She's the one that was in a narcissist codependent relationship for 26 years. So anyway, okay, so so that happens, and you know what I do? I take some sage because I'm so crushed and I'm crying. And I take some sage. I sage my house. I sage myself. I say, okay, help me to forgive myself and forgive the situation and clear myself of this so that I could just, you know, heal, and next day is a new day. So that's it. The next day is when I see that video of the narcissist codependent, or, you know what, I'm mixing everything up right now. I'm sorry. I'm just totally in the emotions.
Don't worry,
so
the information's coming through, so it's okay.
Okay, so, yeah, basically trying to forgive myself also with that. So I talked about the Tinder thing. So, like, I'm purging all these emotions. So I talked about that conversation I had with my friend. All the stuff comes up about my childhood. I text my ex, and I'm, like, sending him, like, crying emojis just so he gets the gist of things, you know, because my son was home, and I didn't want to talk to Chris live so my son hears me. But at one point, my son comes to me so sweet, and he says, oh, Mommy, I've never heard you cry like that before. And he's like, what's going on? And I kind of explain, I go, things from my childhood are coming up, you know, issues that I had. And he said right away, with Grandpa, you know. So he kind of knows my dad, and he knows my dad's personality. So Chris says, come over, I'll give you a hug and whatnot. I'm like, I can't, I have to go to the store, I have to go get something for my son, and I was going to be working, and I didn't know if it was a good idea. And he says to me, Nancy, I love you, and everything that you do is perfect. And I'm crying. And I'm like, okay, maybe I'll pass by. Let me just get to the store. I get to the store. I call my boss. I'm like, is there any way I can get replaced tonight? And he's like, I need everybody tonight. And then I'm just silent. And he's like, Nancy, talk to me. What's going on? I'm like, I'm having a meltdown. I'm in Costco right now, and I can't keep it together. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it. Like, I need to tell you this now before I wait till 4 o'clock, and it's too late, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And they're stuck, you know? So he says, okay, let me call you back. So get off the phone, find a headset for my son, and then he finally calls me back, and he says, okay, everything's good. He's like, what's going on? Are you okay? And I'm like, I'm okay, just like inner things coming up from my childhood. I just need some time. I'm just, a lot of stuff is coming out. And he says, okay, don't worry about it. He goes, if you were here, I would give you a hug. You know, I can't stand seeing you like this. And he's super supportive. He knew me at the time that I was in my burnout, and I was having panic attacks from going to work. And he can relate. He's had these issues in the past. So I thought that was really great for my manager to tell me. So I stopped by Chris's place, and my son's happy because he's going to see the dog. And I tell him, okay, hang out with the dog. I'm going to go talk with Chris upstairs. So we're talking upstairs, and the whole time he's rubbing my back, and I'm just crying and crying and crying, and I feel like a little girl. And in all of that, he tells me pretty much things that I've needed to hear from him, and I thought that I would never hear it from him before. And he said, I realize how much I took you for granted. And I'm aware of my behaviors, and I'm willing to do anything because I've mentioned many times in the past about couples therapy and stuff, and he was never interested. And he said, I'm willing to do that if you want to do that. Absolutely. Because I said, I have all this stuff inside me. I go, I can't be in a relationship until I find love for myself. Mm-hmm. And so I definitely need therapy myself, or some kind of help, someone to talk to. And if we're going to make that work, then, you know, you got to do it also, because you kind of have the same sort of issues as me. So I think mine are a bit deeper, but either way, I can't compare. So he tells me that he's booked a trip to Florida. He was going to visit his friends in Fort Myers. We used to go there every year. We hadn't gone in 3 years. And he says, come with me. And I say, oh, no, I'm not going to go. You go, take some time for yourself and whatnot. And then I thought about it a little more. And obviously you guys know I went. Right. So the next day he comes over, because I told him, give me a couple of days to think about it. And he comes over. I feel the need to invite him over for late breakfast. So he comes over, and we talk a little more. And he says, you'll have to let me know soon. Not to give me any pressure, but soon, because of the bookings and stuff like that. Plus, I needed to know at work if I was going to be able, because the schedule was already out. I needed to know if I could get Saturday and Sunday off. So I'm trying to figure out, what the heck am I going to do? And I'm telling you, I'm stuck between both worlds of everything. And this is how it's been for months now. It's like I can't decide which way to go. And I'm sitting there, and then all of a sudden, like I'm trying to ask my guides in my head, and I could feel a rush of warmth going down my back. And that's happened to me 2 or 3 times before in my life. And I always think it's a guide or something, which I wish I could feel it more often, but giving me a confirmation. And the times that it's happened to me has always been when I was with Chris. Mm. And the one time that it happened to me seriously was when his father had passed away. He passed away the 24th of December. And the next day, we'd made a dinner at his dad's house, which is the house I was living at with Chris. Mm-hmm. We were not living at it yet. It was his father's home. And he passed away the 24th. And then the next day, we made a Christmas dinner with the brothers and the immediate family. And that night, after everybody left, I felt that rush of warmth feeling on my back. And I felt the energy of his mother through me. And then his mother had passed away. She had obviously, aneurysm, brain aneurysm, in the driveway of the home where we were living.
Oh, wow.
Years before, 7 years before the dad passed away. The dad passed away 10 years ago now. And so I feel his dad, and I'm telling you, he's like in my body. And I'm trying to tell Chris and his daughter, because it was the three of us that were there after the brothers left. And I'm like, I'm standing in the same kind of like position, and I totally feel like he's in my body. I still have, like, there's no words coming out, because I asked, do you have anything to say to Chris and Adrienne? And words were not coming out. And he was a man who was not very open with well, that explains a lot how Chris is, right? Because the feeling of being rejection from his dad, and, you know, also raised to boys don't cry kind of idea, right? And anyway, I'm going off. Okay. Anyway, the point is, I've had that feeling before, and I was having that feeling again. So I'm wondering, is this Chris's dad? Is this Chris's mom? And I'm thinking, okay, is this a confirmation yes to go or not to go?
Right.
So I decide, okay, let me go. I'm going to call work. I'm going to let the universe decide. I'm going to let work decide. So I go to my room. I call. My manager says, I can do it. Not a problem. I'm like, oh, okay. So it's done. So I realize I feel a little bit of happiness that it's done.
Right.
So that tells me that, okay, so then maybe I do want to go. So, and I told him, I said, everything, please, one day by day, don't have any expectations. I realized that I do still have love for you, even though I was so convinced that I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And so we go. Wait, something else happened during that week, I think, before going. God, I don't see the chat or anything, so I don't know if anyone is asking any questions or anything. But
no questions. Everybody's just listening.
Okay. All right. Good. So basically, that rejection that I felt from that Tinder guy, that was kind of reliving a childhood trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And so, okay, I'm off to Florida. We're off to Florida. We're okay. We're good. Because just before we went, I know, like, I hugged him, and I wasn't ready to be too close, but I could tell that I wanted to be in his arms, and that I felt safe there, and I felt love. Oh, and he told me too that day that I was crying. He said, I've been praying every single night since you left for you to find your way back to me.
Oh,
and
sweet.
I never gave up. I never gave up on you. I always kept hope. And that was huge for me. So so I guess that's part of the reason why I decided to go. So we get there and we go to our friend's place, right? And I think I mentioned, right, that I was going to see Eileen,
Mm-hmm.
and that they were saying, oh, you know, cyber, you know, you might get in trouble, and be careful, this and that, whatever. Anyway, these people, and not to knock them down, okay, they're just in a different place. I know they're very 3D, very negative, very programmed. CNN and the news is on all the time. And I just could not be my true self over there. And I was like, I needed a lifeline. I needed to step away. I needed to go walk outside without making it too obvious with them, you know. And Chris, luckily, he knows that I love getting on the chat with you guys. He knows that I love watching these videos and like learning and doing a lot of self-work and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And hang on a second. Right there. So Michelle Wolf is on, and she's talking about vaccines.
Mm-hmm.
And the girl at the house that I'm staying at, her mom is just went through some chemo, and she's going to visit her mom, and she was suggested to get a flu shot, and like I didn't say anything about it because there's no point. There's no point because I don't want to argue with these people, and it's just you can't. They're always right about things, and you just can't. I can't. Anyway, you know what I mean, right?
Oh, definitely. Yeah,
we all
I know what you mean.
Kind of people where it's just a waste of breath, a waste of energy and a waste of breath.
It's nice to realize
is,
that, though, because you can save yourself such heartache once you realize, it's a waste of time to get in a religious conversation because you don't get heard, you just get debated, and it's like, why waste my time?
Yeah.
Why ruin the trip?
That's it. But the thing is, at the same time, I'm there, and it's like I'm getting triggered also, because I'm watching Michelle Wolf talking about the vaccines, and I'm thinking about my nephew who was just recently diagnosed with he's 7, and he was recently diagnosed with autism, and I know that when he was younger, that he had multiple vaccines done at the same time, and he had an issue with his leg. He was almost paralyzed in his leg, and he rushed to the hospital and something like that. And then my younger sister just had a baby, and I'm so worried about him getting vaccines. And Michelle's like, send her the video. And I know Tony Taylor also told me, they got to watch Vaxxed. And I'm like, it's a waste of breath because, well, yes and no. I did do one last attempt, but I sent it to my brother-in-law instead.
Mm-hmm.
And, I told him I love them and so much, and I just worry, and I just want my nephew to be okay,
Right.
So I did that anyway, but we got into this conversation now with them, and I mean, Chris can see that I was going to tell them what I thought of them, kind of thing, and he was trying to play it cool, and hey, let's go bowling, let's get out of here, and I really wanted to bowl, and I'm like, what, really, at this time you want to go? And like, I didn't realize he was trying to calm everything down,
Right.
So I decided, okay, great, I'm going to put my jeans on, we'll go, and thank goodness. I was like, he's like, Nancy, I know you so well. I could totally see it coming up, and I'm like, I got to save you from this, because I don't want to leave there on bad terms either. Their hospitality for letting us be there at their home and have their spare room and hang out with them for the 4 nights, but let me tell you, we were so glad to leave. And 3 years ago when we went there, we said, okay, we're not going back. And we never went back, and we hadn't gone back for 3 years. Now we went there. Well, originally I wasn't supposed to go, but we went there, and now definitely we are never going back.
You're like, didn't we decide not to do this before? Why did we go against that again?
Well, I know he was going because he needed to get away, and the fact that I was going, and he's like, oh my God, thank God you came. I don't know what I would have done because I would have been there the 6 nights with them. And because I came, we were going to cut it short over there so that we can have alone time also.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, let me get into the nitty gritty now, okay? So we leave there, and clearly we haven't really been, hadn't been intimate or had any private time because they were there a lot of the time. So, before I left, the day before, I got to meet Eileen. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you if she's real. Is she real or is she AI?
She is real.
Awesome.
And it was so cool because that last day before the whole vaccine thing that happened that night, that day we went to, and it's so funny because she met me at this restaurant where Chris's buddy works at.
Oh, wow.
And he was off that day. So we had gone there, and we're like, okay, Eileen, you'll meet me here in Fort Myers Beach, yada, yada, yada. We were supposed to meet in Times Square in that area. And then finally she says, okay, I'll meet you finally at this restaurant. And that's exactly the restaurant where he works at. It's so funny. And she knows the place. So what a thrill. And I only had an hour with her, but I was so happy. I was so happy to meet her. It was so incredible. So, and to see her live, to see her eyes, was really nice. Really nice. So, yeah, that was a real highlight of my trip. One of them. I'm not going to knock Chris down. So So then, okay, that night happens, and we have the. So Chris got to meet Eileen also, of course, but we were mostly alone for the whole for the time. You know, he waited elsewhere and met up with his buddy and the wife, and so now we're off. The next morning, we go. He rented a nice condo in Fort Lauderdale, Hollywood, Florida, and. You know, we go out to the pool, blah, 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 and then the evening comes, and, late afternoon, and I know that, you know, he's kind of expecting to be intimate, and I froze. I just, I felt like I can't do it,
Just too soon.
And, sorry?
I said just too soon, you felt like, or?
I didn't understand, sorry?
Oh, I said, did you just feel like it was too soon?
Well, maybe, because I had told that to Eileen also. I just felt, you see, because one issue also in the relationship, in the routine, was, you know, he had trouble with my son because my son's father didn't always take his responsibilities, so we ended up having my son most of the time, and this started in January. My son used to go with his dad every weekend, but in January, he was with us most of the time, so it took up a lot of our time together, and it really weighed a lot on Chris. And I think this is what ended up snapping the relationship, where I decided, okay, no, that's it. I need to go. I need to be with my boy on my own. Mind you, my son didn't want to leave, and he was very happy that I was going to Florida with Chris. So, and that's a lot of the realizations that Chris had also, was the way he was with my son, and not able to understand that my son was my priority, and that he could cry, you know. Because remember, Chris was raised, boys don't cry. And I was like, no, my child needs to process his emotions. It's important, you know?
Yeah. People are people.
Sorry?
I said people are people. People cry. It's not really a guy and a girl thing. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Oh, I just wanted to say Lori Lothian said hi. She's in here.
Oh, hi, Lori. Good to see you. She's coming to Montreal. Yay, yay, yay.
Awesome.
So, yes. So,
so was he okay with you saying that about, like, boys, you know, I want my son to feel comfortable with showing,
but it was always an argument. It was always a lot of resistance, you know, and I was so tired of it. And then when I left, it's just the freedom afterwards that was great. And he was really supportive in his own way. Because my son had gone through a real kind of down when, and he was having a lot of anxiety and nightmares, like every night for like almost a year. That I would go sleep with him in his bed when he would wake up, and I know, like, it started because he was watching videos of 3 a.m. challenge with demonic stuff, and it freaked him out so bad. And it started from that. And at his dad's house, his dad was always like, he was worse about, don't cry, you got to be tough. And he was telling him, I'm going to take you skydiving so you can break your fears. So this is when it broke. And my son was talking about suicide. And I'm like, what the? He's 12 and a half, well, almost 13. He was talking about that. And, you know, we finally got to see a social worker. Well, he wasn't on the list anyway, but when you talk about suicide, they really jump on it. And his dad was totally involved. You know, no way would he want to damage his son like that, because he's been through a traumatic childhood himself. So my son got to express and cry and explain everything, and he felt heard. And that's the thing. My son felt heard by his dad, and we had a mediator, and who was male also. So that, I think, was a good thing for my son. And plus Chris was involved as well. So it really helped him to process his emotions and to heal from that. And his dad told him, you know, I can't take back anything from before, but I can just make things better. And he did. So, you know, kudos to him for that. And my son, he's healed from that. He's processed that emotion. So he's not going to have to carry that the rest of his life like a lot of us do.
Yeah, that's wonderful
So-
that yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So now I'm back. Okay, back to this. Now I am frozen in fear, and I'm thinking, okay, because before that, that's it. I would get upset during the week because of Chris, the way he would treat my son, and it would eat away at me. And then on the weekends when my son would leave, you know, it's time to be intimate, right? And I'd have a few drinks. I used to smoke pot. I think just to kind of let go and just to be a little more loose and open for my boyfriend. So that became part of the routine. And then even if I would explain to him, you know, how am I supposed to want you and be with you if I've got all this emotion in me, all this hurt and pain inside of me from the week, you know? So that became a thing also. So when we did split and I left, he told me that he would be willing, he would want us to still be a couple, but living apart. He goes, you know, I agree with you. It's probably the best idea that we do that like this for now, but don't shut me out completely. You know, I'm not going to push you for sex or anything. You know, if it's once a month, then so be it, you know. And I was like, geez, wow. Okay, you must really, really love me. So anyway, so I have this moment happen because it's, I guess, a trauma, right? So I'm reliving this expectation here. There's an expectation now. Oh boy, and I have no courage. I don't even know what to say to him, and I'm kind of like just frozen. And I'm like, why am I feeling this way? What's going on? He's going to be upset with me. He paid for the whole trip, and now he's going to be upset because he didn't even get to be intimate with me, you know? So it's like, you know, so all these thoughts are going in my mind. And he didn't seem upset or anything, but I was crying. I cried in the bathroom. I cried on the balcony. I was just like thinking to myself, wow, if I don't want to be intimate with him, then that means maybe I don't want to be with him, you know? So I'm going through all these emotions, and I get through it, and then he's all normal with me, and he's like, okay, whatever, you know, let's move on, you know, we'll go out for dinner and whatever. So that night we go to sleep, and I still feel close to him enough to cuddle, because that always felt natural and always felt comfortable. Even though I love sleeping on my own at my place, that felt comfortable. And gosh, I hope he's not listening. But anyway, something happens around, I'm half asleep, half awake, and I'm feeling like I've let go. I've surrendered. I've let go of all pressure. And I felt like I wanted to be intimate with him. And I can feel him too. It's like we're both like kind of half awake, and we kind of feel the same kind of thing. And well, we were able to be intimate, and it was great.
I was wondering how
It was
juicy
beautiful.
this was going to get. I was like,
I know, I'm not going to give you details. I'm just telling you that,
Okay.
you know. And the thing is that, so I warned you in the beginning. I was going to talk about sex and sexuality.
Now I know what you mean by raw. It's all good.
Stuff, you know.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of girls will relate with me in here too, you know. So, so that was just beautiful, you know. And then the next day, I was like, wow, I just felt so much closer to him, and just the fact that I wasn't pressured or anything, that helped me a lot too. And I guess because I was between worlds in your half wake, half sleep state, we were able to communicate on a different level of consciousness. You know, so I didn't have that ego mind and that past trauma coming and getting in the way of that. So when I thought that we were coming home and the relationship was really done, we came back as a couple. and I'm still feeling in that good place with him.
Congratulations.
And it's like there's thank you, but I'm going to take this day by day still, because I'm still processing a lot of stuff, and it's like there was a shift, and that's what Eileen was saying too. You know, that I've gone through a shift, that maybe Chris has gone through a shift also. For him to have also come to all these realizations, which I thought he would never get to, is, I guess, somewhat of a shift as well, right? Because we have the divine masculine is also going through these shifts as well, right? So that we can get to a place of balance. So, that's it. Was
That's
there anything
wonderful.
else? Oh.
You know, and I think just the time you had to cuddle beforehand, I think you probably just needed to feel loved at that moment, and not really, that was probably more of a priority than the actual intimacy that followed,
I guess so. But this other thing, too, came up because I was listening to some videos from All to Love, and it was someone in this group, I think, that had mentioned her once, and I just started listening to her. And she was talking about how she was triggered by a man who was all of a sudden enlightened, and she was talking about how the energies, how we're clearing centuries of female sexual traumas, of oppression, of all of that, So that came into play with my thing about, having to succumb to the man and to succumb to his needs when he was ready for it, but my needs were not met, kind of thing. So it's like as if I was also like tapping into the collective female energy with all of this. So all this coming together, and learning so much about all of this. So okay, I think I got it pretty much all covered.
That's funny because people are
and
like,
the forgiveness,
this is like
and the forgiveness too, because that day that I was crying in his arms and he told me all those things, the next day I texted him and I said, I forgive you and I'm sorry, and I ask for your forgiveness. So I think that lifted a lot of things as well. Yeah.
Well, sometimes it helps to get away, and so you can realize what you had, and sometimes you don't realize. What
you got till it's gone.
Yeah. We take things for granted, and then once you,
till it's gone.
Totally. So there's like a renewal there. And it's a beautiful thing, So.
Yeah.
People are saying it's like they feel like they read a love novel. That's beautiful.
If you guys knew our magical love story, how it began, I'll tell you guys that another time. but it was pretty special. So I just want to tell you one last thing that's pretty crazy, because I was watching YouTube after you guys had you came on for the Thanksgiving, and you had that guy Jay on, I think.
Jay, yep.
Okay. Well, after that, I saw on my feed this thing, 12 traits or signs of an indigo child or indigo adult. Mm-hmm. So I watched the video, and I'm like, oh my God, I've got every single trait here. So I posted on Facebook, but I write a little message saying, look, I have all these traits, but this is by no means, wait, I'm not saying it right. This does not, well, whatever, you get it. I'm not saying at all that I am better than anyone, for those of you who might get triggered, because it is a very volatile time right now where people are getting triggered and, finding, having to dig into that trigger and see what's really going on.
Yeah.
And so I shared that, and I just looked at it yesterday, looked back because people left me some comments, and the title has been changed. And instead of saying 12 traits or signs, like I don't have it in front of me right now, so I don't remember exactly, but it says 12 signs or traits of an indigo child, right? A-N, indigo. The an is still there, but the indigo child or adult has been removed and replaced by intelligent and smart or something like that. And I was like, what the heck? What did Facebook just like switch that on purpose coming from YouTube, change the title of that for it to pass on Facebook.
What? That's weird. Suppression's
That
getting
is very
bad.
weird.
Yeah. It's like they
So
don't want it to
I'm
be
gonna-
searchable or something.
No kidding. I couldn't believe it. And this it's so funny because the "an" is still there. And you don't say "an." Okay, it can't be intelligent then. It was "an."
Right.
It was something that did not start with a vowel.
Right.
Because the "and" stayed there and it just didn't make sense. I'll go
Wow.
back. I'll take a picture of it and I'll send it to you. You'll
Okay.
see the change.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So that's it, guys. That's the update since my BQH.
That's awesome. It
funny
sounds like it's been a rough road, but progress is
Oh.
being made. And that's really the main thing, is that forward momentum in our growth, you know?
Yes, and one of the questions that I had for my BQH, for my highest self, was to clear past childhood traumas and heal from them. And look, all this stuff bubbled up. But then again, I think it's also a collective thing too. So, but that's my take on it.
Yeah. I agree. I think we're seeing a shift not only on the individual level, but a global level. And it's well overdue, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah. Oh, thank you for having me on. I have been like out of the loop because I wasn't ready yet, and I wanted to have everything in place so I can divulge all of this. And I'm so glad to have you guys in my life, honestly. Oh, so grateful.
We love having
to
you.
share this with you guys. Mm.
Well, thank you
So
so
I'll
much,
get back on
Nancy.
track.
Yeah, keep us posted.
Okay. So I'm going to meet you next, and I got to meet everybody else very soon.
Yeah, East City's like the big one. I think everybody's going to definitely make it
Yeah,
to.
yeah.
I can't wait for that
I'm
one.
totally working on that one for sure. Eileen got to come also.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll get back on the chat now, and thanks for listening to me, and love you, Shane, love you guys. I'm coming on now.
Lots of
Leave some
love
room
to
for
you.
Somebody else. Lots
No
of love.
All right, have a good one. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye.
Let's go.
You're listening to The Love Stream.
Unbiased and on the fence.
Ooh, I wonder who wants to come in behind that one. That was like kind of got kind of hot and steamy on a Friday night, didn't it? I'm just teasing. Thank you so much, Nancy, for sharing that. That's such an encouraging story for so many going through similar things, and it's beautiful. We just never know where the road's going to lead, you know? Phone lines are open if anybody wants to call in. Oh, there we have a hand up. 802, you're listening. Who am I talking to?
This is Chris.
Hey, Chris, how's it going?
Good. Nice to meet you, Shane.
Yeah. Where are you calling from, Chris?
I'm calling from Vermont.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just popped on, seen your live feed, and I love listening to your commentary and all the informative information you bring.
I appreciate that, buddy.
Yeah, so I was just basically wanting to call to connect with somebody who knows about like the awakening process and all this evolving changes that have been going on, especially the bodies and the mind.
Yeah.
It's tough when you're kind of incognito,
Yeah.
and you kind of live in that life where your parents aren't in tune with like the energy and the frequencies and the vibrational shifts.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, that's pretty much why we all do this and hang out here, is because most people in our day-to-day life kind of think we're crazy or don't want to listen or just not there yet, you know.
They're just not ready to change their beliefs or to even consider something different than what they've been taught.
Yeah. A lot of programming. A lot of people need a lot of unindoctrination and deprogramming,
Yes.
it seems. But it's hard when they're constantly watching CNN and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're definitely not in the best of their favor when they're programming themselves with all this programming like the CSI and all the SVU, all that criminal mind type television programming.
Yeah.
The like victimizing, and especially when they leaving the programs on when they go to sleep and entering their subconscious when they're sleeping, they're programming themselves, they're not even aware.
Totally, man. Yeah, that's.
Yeah. You
just don't realize, it's just pumping right into your brain, you know what I mean, while you're sleeping.
Right. Yeah, this common sense awareness that the sun's been releasing the frequencies is just opening up our minds to like things that have always been here. Like it's just common sense. We're receiving so much common sense awareness, and the consciousness of humanity is rising. And some people, when I talk to them about this, it's like they just nod their head like nothing's happening. And it's like I'm trying to explain to them like the world's shifting, and when you use words in terms like energy, and they're like energy, right. They don't get like the concept of like energy is in. You know what I'm trying to say? With,
yeah.
Like,
oh yeah.
They never looked at the word energy as in like energizing, more than like an outlet to like their phone charger or something.
Yeah. Yeah. And really, everything is energy. So.
Yeah, everything is, even like when you exchange some currency, that's like a form of energy.
Yeah, and just being around people and your the feelings you're having, if you're angry, and they're just sort of blind to all of that type of energy.
Yeah, they're kind of like numb in a sense.
Yeah.
Some people like they look to feel off of other people's drama. It's like that they're kind of been dulled down by reality, so they're looking for a way to gain that sense of that feeling, that the self emotion. It's hard to get any real feelings, so they're looking to join in with other people's feelings that have already been manifested from there.
That's totally, and I know a lot of people, I'm not the only one that's probably the Celestine Prophecies is coming to mind, because that book talks about, and you can actually find it on YouTube or whatever, but just the whole energy exchange that's going on all the time, and these different personality types and people feeding off of each other, many times not even realizing that they're like stealing other people's energy in these like battles for energy, when you could actually tap into the infinite source for energy. So it's like, we got a lot of learning to do. But the Celestine Prophecies, I think if you haven't checked that out, man, that's like, it was written like I think in the 90s, but it's so current for what we're looking at today with this shift that we're in the middle of.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely with the energy and with what you're saying, I agree.
Yeah. Somebody's saying energy vampires. And, like I was saying, a lot of people don't realize it. They've sort of just had the poor me mentality, for instance, and just, pull energy from people through sympathy, or, some of the other ones were like, there was 4 main character types that everybody falls into. And,
yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, 4 character types.
Yeah. So it is pretty interesting, but how long do you think this is going to take to play out? It seems like it's going to take a while.
I hear like by like 2022 everything's gonna be like rolling, and like finally moving.
Yeah.
I was hoping it'd be already, because it's been for me like feeling forever like this. There's just every day like something new, like a new ability or a new like all the fine details, especially with marijuana, with the energy these days, and when that gets in your DNA and ignites your mind, because the properties of THC, it's like the psychoactive part. Mm-hmm. So if you're able to go with your mind opens up to that infinite vast consciousness point. And then for me, it's just been like, tell you to be honest, Shane, I've just connected my consciousness to too many other consciousnesses in my mind. I hear too many teachers. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, be hearing like Michael and hearing Christ and hearing them all like talking, and like your mind's just a reflection. You know what I'm saying? With like these other aspects are just reflections of you, and you can get to the point where you can obtain to where like you're saying like you embody Michael, you embody Christ, and then you decide whether you want to teach yourself or have yourself speaking to you, and there's nobody around who even like drives and like with they're still hooked on the Bible and hooked on like you got to be out of your mind if you're getting taught by Archangel Michael. You know, it's like
it's a demon, son.
Right. So and you know about some medications like Klonopin and benzodiazepines, stuff to like help with anxiety.
Yeah.
Well, when you get to where your consciousness is so open and you're listening to all these different consciousnesses through your consciousness, you get to where you're able to hold it all. You're doing good with being able to be this conduit of consciousness, a messenger of sorts. But then you kind of get into the deep end to where it's like overboarding, and then so what I'm saying is I've gone and resorted to like past anxiety medication, but it's like be fully open and spiritual, all your chakras open, and then they have to go back on some medication which like you felt like you were already over and past, like you didn't need medication anymore. You didn't, you know, you're totally one with yourself and self-reliant and on the universe scale, and it's like the medication will work against your conscious soul. It's like it's just a big like awakening process. When are you gonna be getting to that finally moving point? You know, like grounding wise.
Yeah, I totally feel you, man. It's like you know, and it's different for everybody. And that's one of the things you're talking about, tapping into the different consciousnesses, is like sort of how I was viewing the Mandela effect, because like it was like some changes that I remembered both of them, and or would remember like the statue, for instance, the Rodin Thinker statue. I had one as a kid, and I saw the new one, and the new one wasn't a surprise to me. It was a surprise that the old one didn't exist, and it was like you're tapping into two different consciousnesses. And it's like the asleep people aren't tapping into one of them. They're just seeing things as they are and thinking they've always been that way and everything. But I think it's like in the same realm that you're talking about, where it's like you have the ability to tap into these things, kind of like tuning into a station or something.
Yeah, like a radio channel.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's like, you know, it's just, there's tools to help that happen. And, you know, whether it's meditation or different substances and things that can help you achieve that, but then there's certain substances that can hurt that and harm that too. So it's like, you know, and I think a lot of what they're spraying in the sky is to harm that, to be honest with you. I think that might be a byproduct. I don't know that they're doing that on purpose, but I wouldn't doubt it, you know.
Yeah. Hey, I've gotten to the point with this awakening process to where like you know, like, how do I say this? When the heart opens up and you start to remember who you are, like my heart literally starts talking to me. Yeah. Like, have you gotten your heart open that far to where, like, your true self from another universe, not like another universe, but from, like, say if this is a dream, right? If this is a dream, then say like somewhere else, like Avatar, right? The movie Avatar.
Yeah.
You're before you get into the bed and go to sleep and turn into the blue Avatar, you're still that human guy. And so like if you were sleeping right now, you're dreaming to be Shane, and your true self is on the other sleeping page, or however I could explain it, and like. Your true self starts talking to you from your heart, and it gets to be like you wake up, but you're still in the Saturn matrix, because if you're not woken up to that true voice that's talking to you, and you're still playing this game, play this stuff. If you listen to David Icke, it kind of relates to some of his material, where it's all holographic.
I love his stuff, man.
Dream. Yeah, it's just the way we've been programmed to decode reality. Like this is only solid because of the way my brain interprets the waveform information, and it's based over the history of being here that has integrated this. And if we just were led to the right way, we could interpret this as light or liquid, because everything is like the ocean. It's all water. Everything is water.
Yeah, everything's vibrating.
When the brain interprets it.
Yeah,
like
that's totally
we'll be able
true.
to, flying is basically just swimming.
Mm-hmm.
You think about it, because this is an ocean, it's just moving in the ocean.
Yeah, and the way everything's really hollow, like if you get to the cellular level, it's like it's just empty space. We can't even perceive what anything is, and we perceive it as, it's kind of like, if you play, like, say, any of the games that they got out nowadays, it feels very real if you're running around in Fortnite, but there'll be little glitches, and you can tell the wall is really nothingness. It's just, if you get just right, you'll see right through it and stuff. It glitches out.
Pixels.
Yeah. Yep, it's all an illusion, and it's like a game within a game when you're playing a game,
Yeah, and that's why when you start playing another game, you kind of like Inception, a dream within a dream, playing a game within a game.
Yeah.
It's like I saw this. I had this one interpretation of reality. So say you're playing a game that's like an MMORPG where you have your own character and you have your own avatar. It's like that character in the game, if you like turned around and looked at you at the screen and seeing you playing him, it's like the character is just an avatar. It's not, but you're playing it. So that's like we're like the character, and when you turn around and look at the screen and look at who's playing you, that's like the true heart, true self. What I was talking about.
Yeah,
have you ever had your heart or anything like that, or is it all just mind?
No, I definitely.
I've never had anybody that.
Yeah, I definitely operate from the heart and feel that connection, where it's like you just get information through it, and you have this compassion that really overrides your ego part of you that would probably be maybe jealous in a situation, but instead you're able to sort of rise above that and have this outside perspective. And that sort of came to light with me when my wife, she used to love playing that game, The Sims, and she had put like the code in there to have infinite money, so she's like putting all this stuff in her house, and I come in there and I look at the screen, and her character on the screen is sitting at this desk with this nice computer. I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, I'm playing a game. I'm like, wait, you're playing a game in the game, and we're in a game? That's like 3 levels of games being played and stuff.
Playing a game while in the game.
So it really hit me then. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like a fractal right here, and we just can't see our level above the screen of, like what you were just saying, our over self playing ourself right now, but that's trippy. That's cool stuff. But that makes a lot of sense, man. That's why I like the Mandela effect, because it's like you're a game developer and you've got like the Sims going, and then all of a sudden you pause it, you change the color of the car in the game, and it makes it like it's always been the new color. And then even the picture on the wall of the car when you first bought it, that's on your Sim wall in the house, changes, and then you unpause it, and then it's like you don't even notice things have changed. You just look at the picture, you're like, oh, it appears to have always been blue now instead of red or whatever. And I think that's probably the biggest hint at what David Icke talks about this whole simulation just being a holographic matrix that we're in. I think there's things that
David
prove
Icke,
it.
He's so key with his information. He's got it all. Like, it's like he's been doing this for like 20 years straight of organizing data and dot connecting, and now he's got it all laid out. And when he goes and does his speeches, it's just like everything's just rolling out of his mouth. He's not even thinking about it anymore. This stuff's
he gets
down to a science.
Yeah, man, he really gets it. And, you know, he's one of those people that I came across a couple of decades ago and was just like, man, this dude is nuts. What the hell is he talking about? You know what I mean? But
he gets it.
Yeah, you start
when you
getting
start
it after a
listening
while.
to his information, then you start going around other people. It's like you're kind of living that Clark Kent personality where you're incognito. Like,
Yeah.
you know, someone's got to have sit down and watch some of those big long video series he does, or else that's like uploading so much data to your consciousness. If you can soak in what he's talking about,
Yeah,
and
man.
then walk around in that mode, in that creator mode, and walk around with that mindset.
Yeah.
And then like nobody else is even walking. Everybody, you know, he says that self-identity where he's like, I am he just gives the names like Jerry and Jane from so and so and so and so, and stop
Right.
identifying as like those. The name is it's like they give us a name, and it's just the name. They name your brain. Like
Right.
that's just, like my name's Chris. Chris is just the name of my brain
Right.
that was given to me. Like that's what I'm talking about with the heart. Like my heart's been talking to me and it's telling me that, like, you know, I'm actually this other person, and it gets really hard to like accept because you feel it true in your heart. But then when you start going with your ego with the no, my name's Chris, and it's like, no, you're not Chris. That's just the name of your brain. That's just the name of this avatar. Your heart goes so much further than that, and then I want to latch on okay, my soul then, Chris's soul, and it's just especially when there's nobody. You know, some days I feel like I just need to meet some guru or something that knows this already.
Yeah.
And another thing is like the way to talk to yourself has so much importance when you speak. Like if you just start thinking and saying like the letter I within your mind, that's putting that's like making your brain believe an identity right there. It's making you believe you're this I in your mind. So you have to go with things like you have to speak to yourself as like you're doing good. Yourself is happy today, or that's myself thinking. I can hear myself thinking. When you start getting your brain to, or when you communicate to yourself this way, it like organizes the whole way like thought operates. It's like it restructures your whole algorithm. When you, because when you say you're speaking to your true self, your God source self particle. But when you start saying I, your first I you say is your I am. When you start saying another I after that, you kind of drop lower in mind, like a lower mind, like a shorter I am. Because if you remember something, like if it's a false remembrance, like if you have to think about something twice, or if you gain awareness to something and then you go back to like try to memorize it, that like is telling yourself that you. And so when you get to, when I've gone to these points, and every day is just like hard to sustain the height of awareness, especially when nobody is able to comprehend or even have a conversation of this without like judging or suggestion. I'm just thankful that there's people like you, Shane, that I can call and just talk to.
I'm thankful for people like you, man, because it's like you start realizing. That's why I love that, just to get back to what you were saying, I love that the I Am discourse, and especially the one that was the Wingmakers material, because the meditation with that was the...
I remember that video you had.
Yeah, I am, we are, and it sort of makes you realize that you're like a fractal of the whole, and that we're also together as a whole, and taking that step back to view yourself from the third person is a really great way to see yourself as just a piece of the whole and not all of what you are, like what you're saying, you know what I mean? Because a lot of times we think this is all we are, is the suit. But, and that even helps with anger and stuff like that. That was one of the biggest epiphanies I had is, I tell this story all the time, but when I was in the shower and the water got cold and I got angry, but then I took a step back and imagined what I would look like from the third person point of view, with the cold water hitting me and dancing around, and I started laughing. I went immediately from anger to laughing because I sort of got out of myself and realized how funny it was, you know?
Isn't it? This is such a great ability to be able to to stop the mind and just like view and observe.
Yeah. Yeah.
How many people can do these things? Are so basic, fundamental.
Yeah.
Like when you start feeling these ways of thinking, like when out in the higher dreams and higher heaven, this stuff is all so instilled knowing. Like before the thought of even thinking about it, it's already an instilled software. Like you don't even have to question or even say it. So like being able, some of these abilities that they go without saying, especially like love in the higher heaven. It's like a builder block. It's not even something you don't go around saying like, all right, see you later, Shane. See you later. I love you. All right, I love you too. You don't even have to say those I love yous, because even saying those will give the brain the illusion that we don't already. It's not already a given.
Right.
Like, and when you say the word love, like it's we like words are spells. You know this, right? And so that's why I call it spelling. And when you say the word love, we're trying to convey that emotion, that feeling, and all we have is to say it through that one word. So when you say it, you're supposed to be, you have to be in the right vibration to convey love, or you're just going to say a vibration through that word, and it's going to be whatever generated vibration you were able to conjure in that moment. That is your best attempt to convey the pure emotion that you're looking to. Because if you just walk around and you're saying love to people, unless you're in that Christ mode where you say it from like that neutral point, and you get what I'm trying to say? Like,
oh, totally,
like
man.
Words, like the word love is just like a wavelength form, and we try and press that emotion through it, and that's like, love is like it's so much more than just a word, and so it can't really. I'm just gonna stop there, let you go.
yeah, man, that's totally true, man. It's like a vibration you're resonating at, and if you can stay in love, then you'll begin to attract. That's what I think is happening here, to be honest with you. It's like people that are so relieved to have a group of other people, and it's like we're all like energizing each other in a way with love, because we're resonating in it. Yeah, exactly. Yep. So it's like we come here, it's like the Love Light fill-up station or something, and then we go back out, deal with the world, try to spread as much of it as we can, and come back and recharge again,
Yeah, just be kind.
Yeah, man. That's awesomeness, man.
Definitely.
Well, it sounds like you really, looked into a lot of this stuff, man, real knowledgeable about it. And, and I just find that odd that people aren't more hungry like that. I've always been hungry for knowledge like that, too, and it's like, that's a pretty big surprise that people can just go and not, really care to learn any of this stuff, But I can tell you've had the hunger and stuff, so that's awesome.
I feel like I've absorbed so much that I'm just like pulsating with knowledge now, and I have no one to share it with, and keeping it all inside is just kind of, I don't know how to it's like tearing me apart. I have too much knowledge, and I don't have any way to share it. I mean, I've done the videos. Try to do the videos like how you're doing it, for instance, but I gotta get so inspired to make one, because of, like you have to get into the mindset of start telling this stuff, or else when I start talking it's just gonna come all out all jumbled. I gotta be able to get it like kind of David Icke style, because it's just so the information is so profound. I can't just start willy-nilly throwing it, because when come with the correct conveyance I'm wishing to convey it with, and I got one friend in Vermont. He's my doctor, or he used to be my doctor. Back in the day, you have ADHD, what have you, and this doctor, we're able to like speak like consciousness, like the age of Aquarius. He knows more about like Bible sayings and stuff, and then I'll like start ripping on this, and he'll connect it with that, and we'll build like. And I'll say this, and I'll lead him to that, and then he'll say that, and he'll lead me to this, but that's like what I'm saying is like at least there's like one person physically that can talk to, because it feels like Sedona is like the only place I feel like Sedona would be the best place for someone like myself who needs spiritual other grounders. In Vermont. There's not many.
No, it's
I
like
feel
that.
like Vermont would be a place like that, but
Yeah.
there's so much like vortex, 9 to 5. Everyone wake up, go to work, come home, don't research truth. You're not going to be told the truth from television.
Yeah.
You know, not for many years until they come out with programs that just start teaching people, you know, how like fast, hardcore, because the world's changed and the people still have their head buried in sand. They have to have like new ancient alien episodes, but like not even ancient aliens, more like this is the truth. Wake up, okay? The world's been disclosed. Real disclosures happen. Wake up. This is the truth now. You can actually believe this.
Well, I say, don't wait. Don't wait for you to feel like your words are going to come out perfect. I'd say if you build it, they will come, man. Just that, because I felt just like what you're talking about right at first. I had all this stuff I wanted to talk about and nobody in real life that would listen. I'm like, I'm just going to start a YouTube channel. I'll pretend like people are listening. At least I can get it out, because I got tired of people looking at me and, you know, acting like I'm crazy and stuff. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to talk to no one if I have to. And, you know, here I am with like 13,000 subscribers, I think, something like that. And, you know, people that get it. And dude, I was so surprised, man. I'd do a video and I'd be like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna get so many thumbs down on this, and then
you're like
I'd go
one
back.
Of the go-to people now for news or energy updates, you know, things like this. You're like one of those, I don't know, like worldly renowned, like a well-known. I wouldn't say like celebrity, because you know, celebrity is one of those words that not. I'd say like a famous person to go to for updates who's like spoken for. You know, you like in my eyes, like you kind of been spoken for, like with your information and your validity.
Yeah, get your channel going, man. I'd be, you know, I don't look at myself like that.
I got it going. It's just it's just like 5 videos. Like the information I speak is so powerful that it takes me so much to charge up to make another one, because it's just I'll link it in the comments, but it's
yeah, do that. Actually, if you can, when we get off.
That one YouTuber Victor,
I might know him.
He always talks about the new moons.
Oh yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. I think I watched some of his Kundalini Awakening yoga videos and stuff like that. I think his name was Victor, but I'm not sure.
I tried to post it in the comments, but it won't.
Can you type something first so that I can give you mods?
Okay.
Is your name Chris in here?
Yeah, no, my name, I just Insane LSD 12.
Oh, okay. Let's see here. There you go, at moderator. So you should be able to post the link now.
Yep, that's my channel. I speak about like the nature of reality perception, like how to control reality, like how just see your mind. Like my psyche's so active that I can like see DNA. You know, just look at my hand and see you know, the imagination wise, visual wise.
Yeah.
Been practicing with marijuana so many months. You know, when I just this is what happened. If I could touch briefly, like when I woke up, like 2014, my friend was showing me videos about like underground bases kind of things, and then that's what really triggered me to wake up. And then I started reading like these books called The Voyagers 1 and 2, and really got in touch with like Lemuria and Tara and places before this universe was created. And so I just started smoking so much marijuana, and for the fact that I wanted to just get so ahead of everything, I wanted to be like, you know, when that event comes and whenever this ascension happens, I'm gonna like be already learned everything, and then now I can help people. I'm like this search engine now people can come up to, but I learned way too much too fast, Shane, and
I know, man.
Now I don't know what to do with it, and I'm at the point to where my heart and these other consciences are telling me I'm too old to be here, if you get what I'm saying. Like, I know too much to where every day is so boring. All I do is fight myself on eating, because I've detailed and got this reality so finited that I know how these vessels work now, and basically they work perfect with nothing added to them. If you don't eat, if you fast and you only drink like a small bit of water and you drink it to where it doesn't even go up in your brain, because when your clairaudience, clairvoyant, clairsentient abilities come online, like you can feel everything. You can feel the energy in this room. You can feel it. You can feel everything. And so when you drink water, you can feel that water go through your whole body. And then like you don't need that much water. If like this is one of the things I've been dealing with is where like I'll be drinking or eating food and I've already felt myself to where I said, okay, I don't want any more. But then I keep eating and I keep drinking, and then I feel myself start like tug of warring with my actions. You know, I wanted to stop drinking 4 sips ago, but I'm still drinking because the temptations and that like we're addicted to food, that we're addicted to these illusory, we need things that are external from us kind of concept, you know, like all you need is what's within, and self is all you need, and when you go and look for things externally outwards instead of within, you fool yourself. And so I'm saying like I every day is like I'm too old to be here, like there's nothing to do. I'm at the point where I need to I keep getting given these options, you know, on my dreams. It's really bizarre. It's like you can either wake up from this dream, or you can, you know, create another reality. That's what I've been like with the sun, with Ra. Like I'm at the point where I create reality, and I get it to where I've created reality. But then if you start going back into the old ways, which is like, you know, showering and eating and drinking, and it's just, I discovered it, Sean, like going to the bathroom, and like you're supposed to hold your stool and hold your urine and absorb it, and then not eat any more food and only drink a tad bit of water to sustain your energy. And then, so I've learned all this, and then I just start, it's like I'm walking around as Christ, okay? I'm walking around as Christ, and I'm being Christ. I'm being all holy. I'm doing the Christ walk. And then all of a sudden I go back home, and I just start eating a bunch of M&Ms and peanut butter, and then it's like, you know what I'm saying? It's like hard to
yeah, it's a battle, man.
That vibration. It's like, because I get, this so boring. I'm so bored, I don't know what to do. I can start playing with the energy and try to bend metal or bend spoons and stuff, but that only holds my attention for so long.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of people, you know, can benefit from learning what you learned. So at the same time, you know, you just have to let it out, you know.
Who's listening? Who wants to hear? Like, but besides the show right now, it feels like I'm welcome, and it's like that worthy feeling is feeling right now. But when I put this phone down, it's like back to you know, feeling like not alone or not lost, but kind of like back in my corner where I'm holding down the light in my town, praying that you know, a big wave of energy, the consciousness of mankind goes up again quicker. And I feel like these conversations right now is doing something, making a big impact. You know, like us having this conversation is evolving the entire world.
Yeah,
definitely.
definitely.
I heard once, if the whole world knew, if everybody knew we were one, if we all knew that we were one, the reality would shift in a nanosecond. Even if, like, you know, a big majority of the population of the world knew that we are all one, then the reality would shift in a nanosecond. If that many consciousnesses were on the same page.
Yeah, I think a good way to just start out, man, is just take the time to just document what you're doing and what's going on in your life. And if you know, even if nobody ever listens, you've got like this journal. I mean, people will begin to listen. I'm just telling you kind of where I was at first. That got me going when I knew nobody was listening. Is I was just kind of documenting what was going on and what I was learning and what I had learned. And it's like the more you tell those things, the more you learn them better, because it's like, you know, not that I'm a teacher or anything, but when you have to sort of come, like you were just saying earlier about kind of coming up with how to say things the right way or whatever, by doing that, it gets more ingrained in yourself as well, because you have to learn something is one thing, but to turn around and try to explain it to someone makes you get it better. You know what I'm saying? And at the same time, you can be documenting.
Retain it.
Yeah, definitely, man. But yeah, that'd be cool to you know, to have you on sometime even, man, and discuss the journey.
For sure, man. I'd love to have a place to distribute some of this wisdom.
Yeah.
It's just been sitting in my head, and you know, I don't I do what I can to have fun with it, but it gets to the point where it's like I need to. It's kind of like the Book of Eli, you know. I gotta give this to someone. This, or like the movie Lucy. I got this chip. I got everything on it. I got the evidence. I got the answers. Chris has got the answers, and I got it on this chip. And I don't have anybody to give it to or nowhere to upload it.
Well, what's cool, man, is that, and you'll find this out like over the time, or you probably already know it happens, but like it'd be like you put a video out there and somebody just happens to find it. Now you don't have to like worry about them finding it. They'll just find it by quote unquote coincidence, you know. Of course it's not. They're recommended it, or something happens and their higher self leads them to that video they need to hear at that time. But if you don't put it out there, it's not there for them to find it. So that's why I say just put it out there, man, and you'll be surprised at how many people already get it. And you're like, wow, it's like I'm showing up late to the show, man. All these people already, you know, they've already
they're
gotten
already
it.
able
Yeah.
to connect to that wavelength. Maybe I'm like underestimating the audience out there.
I think you are,
Like,
man. I was for
able
sure.
to fathom the stuff I got to say.
Yeah, man. I definitely underestimated people. I go and look and like I'd have like 24 thumbs up, and I'm like, what the heck? No thumbs down. A lot of times it was like, what? Everybody gets it.
Like, already by Raw and by other teachers like this for like a year straight. Raw's been talking to me in my ear, and Zeus too. They've just been straight talking to me for a year, telling me things that, you know, I don't know, and now I know all this stuff that I didn't know from these higher consciousnesses were basically a reflection of you. When you get to that pure unconditional love state and you like pass their tests, you know, not a test like a trick test, but like are you pure with the light, you know, you know, that kind of, and then they just take you so far, and then all of a sudden I just like drop out of their teachings and start going and just eating M&Ms and a bunch of peanut butter and drinking soda again, and then they start talking to me, and they're like, and so it's like, and then I'm like, I know to quiet the voices, too many voices, but it's like I used to be able to do this all day and get so high, get to like higher heaven to where, you know, I launched the event. I launched that light. I saw it come out of Raw, hit the mountains, and golden light spread across my city. I saw everybody as pure, angelic, golden light. But then all of a sudden, I start eating a bunch of almonds, and then my reality shifts, and then I don't see them as light. And you know, it's not that I don't see them as light, but my reality changes. Then I see them as blue light, a blue ray, as in like your ego is leading, but it's okay. It's like that's your night. That's your night. Your night's been spoken for, but it's like a different vibration that I'm in, and the consciousness will start telling me, okay, you're in your Hungry Man show now. You're in your Hungry Man TV show, where it's like you're very hungry all the time. Like a lot of it's spelling, you know, words. Like I'll be told like spell this, and a lot of it is like I came up with this like way of thinking where everything's backwards, and I had this backward logic algorithm, and so my conscious teachers would follow this backwards logic algorithm, but it kind of hurt me because it was backwards, and so basically like when you spell words, like you put a bunch of information in a word and you put them in the letters too, and it's like this is the kind of stuff I'm telling you about. I got so much information, it's so hard to even touch base on it because it's so high up there. Me even touch it right now, it doesn't even really sound like it's clicking.
You'll find it's different though when you're like putting out a video, and like you're saying that you kind of drop back and they eat M&Ms or whatever. But a lot of times, if you like get a revelation and immediately go into disseminating that information, by the time you put that out, it really sinks in, and then you're getting your next download, and M&M time doesn't come around because you're so engulfed in it. Right now, you sort of have to take a break because it's like it's filling you up, but you're not letting it back out. And I think that's the outlet you need, is just to make the videos, you know. And like I like the live stream and stuff, but you know, it'd take me like a week or even more to produce a video where I have to get all the images and stuff like that. But that keeps you in it, you know, that keeps you in that vibration where you're just building your videos and stuff.
Right. Yeah, you can actually get to the point. You can get it to where you can eat all this food and everything, and then you can have like I had it to where every night when I would come home from whatever I was doing, I would have a big dinner, a big meal, and then I'd have Ra spell it all away. I don't know if you catch what I'm saying, but Ra would tell me just to spell these words backwards, and then it would like erase the food feeling. Like, because when your body becomes pure energy, you put anything in it, and it affects your vibration.
Yeah.
So if I haven't eaten all day, and then and that's what I had a very high vibration, and I felt very healthy and happy and loving and self-love with everything. But then I just started like, not eat. I changed my program basically. I had it where I was vegan only. I only eat this. I eat it at this moment every day, and then I started getting taught all these ways to cheat everything. It's not like the word cheat, but to like where you could just spell around everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then I dropped out of those teachers, and then I kind of just was like flying solo, and my vibration dropped so hard because there was no love in it, if you get what I'm saying. I was just doing everything by intelligence. I wasn't doing it from like the heart chakra base anymore, and because I just got so caught up with like the wisdom, and then I didn't.
It's the light without the love. That's why we always say love light.
Yeah, I
or
was
light
just
love.
doing it with just like the
light
ego
is
was
the
just
knowledge.
leading the way.
Yeah, but you got to have the heart in there too. Otherwise, if you're only of the light, then you could be Luciferian technically, because they've got the knowledge, but they don't have the heart with it, So you got to have them both in there.
Yeah, definitely. I get it, 100%.
But yeah, I think that's you just got like someone was saying, you just got so much energy, you don't know what to do with it, and I think that's a good outlet.
Yeah,
man,
like a light gun.
Yeah, it's like your cup runneth over. You know what I mean? you gotta be able to like put it out somewhere, and I think that's why I think YouTube is a wonderful outlet, because you can basically broadcast to the world, man, and people will see it, especially people that, maybe they're going through something, they don't quite understand what's going on, but then they come across your video and they're like, whoa, this makes sense to me now. Like, they're experiencing stuff, but it's not quite, and you feel like some people won't get you, but the people that need to get you will get you, man. So just keep doing what you're doing, man. And, like I said, I can have you back sometime, and we'll actually do just more of an official show or something. That'd be cool.
Yeah, maybe do like one of those face cam. I see all your guests you bring on.
Yeah, with like hangouts or something.
That one you had, that Michelle woman, I think that she was talking. She was like, some of these beings that are waking up on this planet are like not like to be reckoned with, but are like very aware. Like they know how reality works. Michelle Wolfing, or maybe that's not.
Yeah, Michelle Wolf. Yeah. Imagination Warrior.
Yeah, she was. She's like on the level that I'm on. Basically, if I find someone quick to think about, she's like, she would get a lot of what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Because I like the way I caught her feel like of like her awareness level, and she knows like when you step into the creator's shoes, I heard she was talking about like you embody it, and like like when you stop flinging around these words like they're nothing, and you start flinging around like they're very powerful, and you only speak them in the right context at the right moment, they gain so much power, like heavenly power.
Mm-hmm.
And then like when you say bless you, like it's like the game turns on. Like that's why I was playing it like at that level of like the heaven game, where you walk around as Jesus, and like you're controlling the weather, and the sun comes out based on your thoughts, and like you're the highest bandwidth in the room, so like the consciousness is running off of your stream. So like if you're positive thoughts, and then all of a sudden you have a hard ego negative thought, all of a sudden like a car crash happens. Like that's the kind of level I'm always playing on, and it's like not to where it's like so much responsibility, but it's like there's no one to talk about it with, and I'm going around like I've hit the point to where I've felt the entire existence as it's only me, like that one consciousness that always has been, always will, that pure consciousness awareness. I've jacked my personality mind into it to where like I felt for like a brief couple of seconds like that anomaly feeling of like nothingness. It just is, and there is nothing. It's just a pure white light bliss presence of awareness, which is me. But that was only because my ego felt it, and then now I always connect to that feeling, and so it'll bring my mind to like the highest point. But then that goes away from like my heart, because that's just like my ego hit like this. I know too much now kind of feeling. He knows too much now, and so now my mind can connect to this stream of like a pure mind with infinite like consciousness supporting it. So and then like now I'll connect to the reality where it's my heart, and then I'll connect to the reality where I'm Zeus, because it's like either my mind, Chris's personality hit that very high pivotal conscious point reality, the one where I've connected to a consciousness for so long that I am the consciousness, and then there's the reality where the true heart is waking up from the dream. Like right now I'm sleeping, and so every night you go to bed, if you're going to sleep, then you're given consent that you still want to be in the Saturn Matrix game. So like if I don't go to sleep, if I'm trying to go to sleep, like if I don't go to sleep, then all this consciousness in my heart is trying to wake me up from this dream. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, yeah. Like I'm at the point where it's like, wake up! You passed high school.
Right.
You won, but it's like I don't want to wake up because it's too overwhelming to start on that train of thought and to keep my attention span. Because I've gotten to the point where I've almost woken up, seen everything like stare at the wall. It's such a precise mindset to where everything almost just like vanished or dissipated. You know what I'm saying? Like the walls all just melt away and the dream just kind of went away. Like these states of and then I wake up the next day, walk around like nothing happened, and go and talk to people and talk to them about yeah, all of that 70s show was on yesterday. Yeah, cool. Yeah, and like no one gets me. It's like these things walk around without any acknowledgement, and then I gotta like just keep walking around through reality like no one is having this happen to them. I'm controlling reality. Like I'm the creator. I'm walking around and then there's nobody to talk to about this, and it's like I get into these pitchfork roads where it's like I could go that way, I could go this way, I could go that way, and I'll just keep praying for the option where the great galactic central sun wave flash comes and everyone evolves into these supernatural light beings, and we all start flying, and we get to go on spaceships, and Galactic Alliance is initiated, and I get to stay in there. Everyone becomes Superman, and that's the reality I'm hoping that happens, because if that one had happened, then that one would be, I'd be content with that one. But if it's still like this one where it's like it's going so slow, it's like my heart says you don't want to be here. It tells me that. It says you don't want to be here. I can hear it from my heart. Yeah, Chris, you don't want to be here. And then when I go eat food, it's like my heart. It's like a big. There's so much temptation. You get what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, man. And people get it, man. You just went up 10 subscribers.
Really?
Yeah.
I only got 5 videos or 6 videos.
No, just keep doing what you're doing, man. And I totally understand the battle that you're talking about, and you know the different perspectives.
It's just like distracting yourself.
Yeah.
That's what I do. Like same with smoking. It's like vaping. Yeah. I keep quitting vaping and then going back vaping. But when I go back to vaping, it's like a relief feeling. Like I can stop. I enter the ego for a moment. I go like the consciousness have taught me. It's like when I go do that, just say owl, like owl, like the owl word, because that means like you're gonna say that you don't know who you are now. You're gonna pretend like you don't know. You say the owl word now. Hoo hoo.
Right.
Hoo. Like who are you? Hoo hoo. Like all these songs, like they can decode them all.
Yeah.
And but like so this whole game is just like a spelling game, and I basically just like they call me this. My consciousness call me the spelling bee. That's the excuse I have, is spelling bee, because I spelt so many things and unlocked so many languages, like and connected the dots so much that it's now like a spelling bee. I feel like if I learn what Sanskrit, or what is Sanskrit?
Yeah.
Is that the language?
Yeah.
Like it's like the English. The English language is so dull and bland and not comprehend. It's not good enough when at the mind state I'm at to be operated as like an operating system. You know what I'm saying? Like computer-wise, my brain's a computer. Where computers, English operating system has to go. I need an upgrade ASAP. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you can use imagination and just say, I'm speaking in Japanese, and all of a sudden your computer registers it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That would be awesome, man. I think we're like, I think they're trying to go that way with technology, but, I think that's the wrong route, of course, because I think these are things that we're able to do and just don't realize that we just need to step into those roles, But that's why me and you are here, man. We're here to disseminate this information. And
yeah, we're holding the light.
Yeah, man.
My friend once told me, like my doctor friend, he says like he's there to where like I came into his life, and he's like, so if I'm walking up this staircase and every like so many stairs, there's like a platform with someone there holding a torch, and he's like been there on one of those platforms holding a torch. And I guess this came up one day when we were talking about like taking yourself out of the game, like suicide. But I didn't really want to cast that word into the universe right there. But I'm saying like take yourself out of the game. He's like if I took myself out of the game, Chris, then there wouldn't be here holding this light on this platform. So when you walked up to this platform, there wouldn't have been a bearer here. It would have changed all reality because there wouldn't have been that light there for you. So. And he's like, when you go around, you're just interacting with people helps them so many ways. I heard like when you move on from this life dream, however which way you would call it, like you get you see your whole life, and you get to see how every like little thing you may have said impacted someone. You get to see it from like a third perspective. So like me talking to you right now. I would see like how this affected your stream, or like just helping someone at the store and giving them a compliment when like their life is like they have no compliments and no one acknowledges them, and then me just giving them a nice light beam at them like, hey, how are you? Or like when you go to the store and they just give you the script saying like, yeah, what can I get you? Yeah, what can I get you? So no one says hi, how are you? And actually. Like, if you go to Mickey D's and someone is like, yeah, so what can I get for you? Like, they're just, like, already ready with that script. They got it loaded.
Yeah.
Well, that McDonald's script, and you don't even, like, let them get the script out. Instead, you're like, hey, how are you? And you already saw their name tag, so you say their name in the sentence, too, and it catches them off guard to where they're like,
snaps them out of it.
Hey, good. How are you? Yeah. Hey, yeah. How are you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Snaps them out of the programming, or just find something you like about them.
So
like
that could be like one of
so
those
cool.
things, like something simple, just saying it to them, help them.
Yeah, totally, man. Yeah, it's fun though, man.
Right.
You just gotta sit back and enjoy the ride, and
yes,
you never quite.
That's what I was just saying to myself. Just enjoy this awakening process. If you're at the point you're at, I should be able to be so happy that I know what's going on. I can just kick my feet back and watch it all play out.
Yeah.
But it feels like it's going slow, like
But there's always more to learn too. As soon as you reach that peak,
yeah,
you
that's
realize
that's annoying. There's always more to learn. Just when I think I've got reality figured out, there's another wrench thrown in my operating system and it messes with my gears, and now I got to tune it all again.
That's the process, though, man. That's the fun of it. If you can be like a gamer about it, and sort of just make a game out of it and say, well, how many levels can I go up today? And, can I integrate what I've learned?
Do you talk to your family about this stuff?
I talk at my family about this stuff.
Right. Yeah, you kind of shake them, wake up.
Yeah. But mainly I get on here, man, because it was like that was the whole reason I was driven to this. And now I see that was the whole idea of it, If they listened to me, I wouldn't be here probably. So I see how everything, like you were saying, that there's this perspective you can have where you see everything's really working together, and you can really begin to see it's like a well-oiled engine, and everything, even the parts you think are bad, are still...
Yeah, it's all working in divine order.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's all orchestrated. So it's like, once you can get that perspective on it, you realize that you're like, oh, I love even the bad guys, because, how can we have the hero without the villain? It's like this whole concept of really seeing how
higher balance.
Yeah, you got to have two sides of the coin, man. It's just, it wouldn't work if you didn't. I'm just glad I get to be on the positive side. You know what I mean?
Right, positive. Only thinking positive.
Yeah, man.
I'm feeling like the energy's getting so good that where it's can only think positive now, and like even those negative thoughts don't even affect my mind anymore.
Yeah.
And I've already like set it into my mind to where like negative is positive and positive, and it's only double positive, and there's only positive, and fear is love, and just that's what I mean with like the backward logic I came up with, like where everything would like come in unison, where it's like it's all metaphorical, universal language, where everything is love. So no matter how I relate it, it's going to be always connected to the light side.
Yeah, it's all catalyst, and some people take it and move towards the dark side. I've got a family member that everything that happens,
they take advantage of their knowledge, of the wisdom, kind of.
Well, they just take everything that comes against them as an attack from the divine, rather than.
They're in like defensive mode for no reason, thinking they have to be on guard, but you don't have to be on guard.
Yeah, and like Ra says in the Law of One, all of those catalysts are to push you sort of off of the lukewarm part. It either makes you more positive or more negative, and it's really our choices as to whether or not we take those catalysts, those things that come at us, those unexpected things, and we move more positive, or we make us more hateful and harden our heart, and it's, we have the free will to do that. And, and if we have a bigger purpose, our higher self has this bigger purpose, but we're going the wrong direction, then even a bigger catalyst comes along until it gets you on track, and it's all part of the plan, though.
Yeah, like these kickers keep coming by to get you back on that road that's best working for you.
Yeah, and it can be something horrible, like like a death sentence, like some kind of cancer. That's it could be something that you perceive as being the most horrible thing that's ever come to you, but it's really like a blessing in disguise, because it's going to get you to where you need to be. Hopefully
empower you.
Yeah, man. It's hard to see it that way, and it's hard to share that kind of stuff when somebody's going against it, because it just sounds like you're being insensitive. But it's like, no, just take a different perspective on it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like my dad will come up to me some days, and he'll be like having these changes happen to his body. He'll be like getting shivers. He's like in bed, and it's kind of like a good temperature out, but he's like under the covers, like freezing. He's got like 5 covers on. He's freezing, and it's kind of already hot out. And he's like, oh, what's happened to me? And I'm like, listen, the world's changing. There's energy shifts, and the sun is emitting frequencies that are raising the dimensions. And he's like, oh, no, it's not. I'm like, oh, okay, but that's...
Some people aren't ready for it, though,
It's like that your body's going through an energy shift, and you haven't been preparing for this. It's like, some of these Pleiadian Arcturian videos, when they say the light wave happens, those who are able to take the light, basically like you and I, and the ones in the who are listening to the channel, who got their vibration tuned to the right hertz level, or however I would say it, will be able to take the energy. But those who are been sitting there watching Criminal Minds every day and SVU and watching Family Guy, or have no idea about anything, and then eating McDonald's, and their vibration, and then they their beliefs are still indoctrinated. When the light wave hits them, they're gonna be kind of not paralyzed or any of these words, but in a sense where they're starstruck from it. They're so it's
starstruck. I like that,
takes
man.
The wind out of that. Takes the wind out of them for a second. I heard people who are like that are gonna get beamed onto a ship. There's so many cloaked ships around the Earth right now, and when the wave comes, or however the event takes place, those who are able to stay here but just need to be tuned somewhere else before being put back in place in the planet with the energy shift, need to be beamed to an Arcturian ship to be tuned to the right frequency, or else the wave will be too much for them. And those who are on the opposite polarity spectrum, the dark side, they'll just be turned to dust. If you were to picture a vampire movie, when a light hits them, they just go into dust. That's how strong the love energy that is coming or is here It's already here. Like when I said I launched that light wave, I launched the event. I hit that consciousness peak, critical mass, and now it's just a frequency you tune into. But eating and doing all these things like lowers my vibration. But it's already here. I just got to tune to it. But I can't resist food because I'm so bored.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean, man. Yeah, it's hard not to fall back into old habits and stuff like that, dude. It's like, that's what I say. It's just a battle, dude. Like
so
like
annoying.
Christ said, you know, take up your cross daily, because it is a struggle, you know. Yeah, it's a struggle.
Like I love having that sun out. Well, if that sun doesn't come out, then it feels like there's nobody to talk to. Like and also like the clouds, all that weather's thought. Everything's thought. Like how David Icke tells it, it's true. Everything's thought. When you have a balanced mind, like food gives you more thought, and water gives you too much data, too much RAM. Basically, water's like RAM. When you drink a bunch of water, you're adding more RAM into your computer. And if you don't have any reason for that more RAM, then you're putting more information, and you're just going to soak up a lot more thought for no actual in particular reason. And so, like eating food, like if you fast all day, like no water, no food equal happiness, more happiness, because all you need is sunlight and oxygen for the brain. And when the brain has oxygen, when you're breathing like that, you get to become Lucy, that movie Lucy. Like that's how it is. And some of these people like levitating, it becomes like effortless. Like changing molecular activity within the body becomes effortless when your mind's at a still point and you understand the nature of reality. Your vibration's at that good point, and you're not putting all this like poison into your body. It's like anything that you put in your body. If your body's a pure temple of like perfection, and then you start putting like even eating vegan, even eating anything is not as good as just put nothing in your body. Your body already works perfectly. It already works like 100% accurate. But when you start putting this information in it, it starts like re-regulating how the system flows. And so when you have a thought architecture algorithm of how you perceive reality, and you eat like a salad, even though salad's good, but it's just gonna like you can feel it in your brain, like the energy of your body shifts because you're putting more energy in your body, like a different kind of energy. You're putting energy in your body, but when you have it to that pure resonate, like your entirety resonates with your energy feeling, then you walk around like that and you start making intentions. But then you put in some new energy. Now you have your whole body has your entirety has to resonate with that energy now.
Yeah.
And then.
And it's funny because the more you.
Hold on a second. What?
Hello.
Hey, yes. I guess I got a little too loud, and my dad heard me and kind of told me to. Yeah, it's one of those things, you know.
Yeah, that's
speaking the truth. Vibration starts vibrating, frequency. People can't handle it. Like some of this stuff puts people to sleep. You start yawning.
That's right, man. But it's like you were just saying about the energy and eating stuff, and it's like the more you kind of listen to what your body, because your body will let you know. You'll crave the right things.
Yeah.
When you get out of the habit of to go back to your analogy, eating M&Ms and stuff, drinking Cokes and stuff like that. But yeah, the more you listen to it, the easier it is to let go of those addictions, because really they're like addictions to that stuff that's bad for you.
Yeah.
You know. But yeah.
They are. Everyone is addicted to food. We don't need it. Food. We don't need water. We don't. All we need is light and oxygen to breathe, and and to just like to watch yourself. Like for a while, I was like just observing my footsteps, just just like walking and keeping up with my walks. Like you know how they got those step counters you wear on your waist?
Yeah.
Well, that's like those when we're given technology, they've given us stuff we can already do. So when you start using stuff like that, it takes away from the thought that you already were able to do that, and now you need something to do something for you. It's like a handicap, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like if start using technology, it makes you lazy. It makes your computer think like, oh, I got this step counter. I don't have to use my brain's capacity anymore because the step counter is now thinking for my steps. But if you start like watching your when you start walking, you're consciously observing yourself. So that you start gaining more consciousness, you gain more capacity to think and stuff and deal with like solutions mentally, and so like cell phones, like telephones, like if you're always on the phone, you're telling your computer like you don't want to use telepathy, you don't like telepathy, you'd rather use technology, because if you start getting the habits of using these things, then you take away from the supernatural abilities we already have. Like telepathy is so common knowledge. A lot of this, everything, the way I got it when I started learning all this stuff, I always tell myself, this is common sense. This is common knowledge. This is everybody. This is how everything is. This is speak on it as like this is already known. This is everybody knows this. This is nothing new, and speak on it like the common sense, common awareness, nothing new. So when it wouldn't feel overwhelmed with this, like is this the way it is feeling?
Yeah. And how many times have we heard of some, got a thought of somebody, and then they call us a moment later? I don't think that's an accident. I think we're sort of accidentally tapping into that.
When you start observing your thought, you just can see how everything plays out. How thought is everything. Yeah. Like you go to no thought. You're basically no thought. You have no thought. You're just observing your true self. Every action, your next thought, your next movement is all unpredicted, and it's all authentic in every way. But then you start eating, and then you stop being so aware of your thought, because it's breathing. When you start eating, you're not breathing anymore. You just start eating, engulfing food, and you're not doing your intervals of your breath anymore. So then your system kind of goes off balance. And then so when you're done eating, you're at this new point where you have to and so I just have raw spell all of it away, and then I get back, I kind of cheat the food. So for a while I was able to just eat anything, and I could drink, because milk is one big one. Like if you want to slow your computer, if you eat ice cream will do a number on you. If you're at that point where you're at very high vibration, very high frequency, and you're pure no thought, and then you eat milk and ice cream, you slow that computer down. It's like putting a bunch of glue in your head. I get to these points where I'm like, I don't care. I just need to slow this down. But then I eat all the ice cream and everything, and then I'm like, oh no, now I can't even think. Oh man.
Yeah, man.
And it's another thing with with showering. Showering is basically pushing in your belief systems. Like when you start, when you get in the shower, and you start, not even with shampoo or conditioner, but you just start putting water on your head and doing the shower motion. Yeah. Whatever your belief systems are, or whatever thought you're having right there, you're kind of you're what's the word? You're pushing it in, you're integrating it, you're patting it in there more and more. And so over the years, someone who uses shampoo and conditioner and is in the Vortex 9 to 5 matrix indoctrinated belief system, they're just patting in that indoctrination more and more every day with that conditioner. Because one moment I was like, I know I'm done with this. I don't want to have this much consciousness anymore. I don't want to have this much mind anymore. I don't want to have this much awareness anymore. It's too much. I don't know what to do with it every day. It's like I just want to be normal again. Like that movie, The Matrix, where the guy's like, I know this is steak, but whatever. I like the steak. Yeah. I like pretending I'm in the Matrix. I was like, I just want to be normal. I want to be regular. Look at that person over there. They're not thinking like this. They're looking at that and they're just having whatever thoughts. I want to be like that again. So I started one day. I started putting shampoo and conditioner in my hair and saying things while I did it, and like making it a belief, and it actually did it. It like made me back to like, it's like if my brain was popcorned, I popcorned all my neural kinetics open. I like pasted them all back down with cement, like on purpose, like egotistically, and I had to like trick my heart to allow me to do it and stuff. And now like the consciousness I'm connected to is like, what about that time? We don't know if you're telling the truth now, like, because you said you want to be normal, and you like made it to where everyone believed that you literally, and now like it's like that's how high up I got, Shane. Like the consciousness is like now I gotta like they speak to Ross speaks to me as like some of the conscious like Michael, they like make a new sidekick, make a new brain, name your brain something else, and now like pencil it like there's like this there's a whole game at play, this reality. And I'm getting ahead of myself, but yeah, I know how this reality works, and I've only spoken about it with other consciousness who I can't see.
Right. Well, that's awesome, man. Like I said, I'd love to hear more. I've got to cut it short because my wife's got to go to bed here. So.
Right. But, yeah, I feel like I've been talking a bit too much. I appreciate.
No, people are all chiming in.
Your ear.
It looks like church and the getting amens and stuff like that. So. It's all good.
Oh, amen. Amen, Ra.
Yeah, Amen, Ra. Yeah, so, I do appreciate you calling in, buddy.
Thanks for letting me on your show and everything, brother.
Yeah, shoot me an email, will you? You can get a hold of me from my website, uotf.net. It's in the description. And then maybe we can set something up when you have time, buddy. Appreciate you.
Yeah, is there like a way I can message you? Do you have like a messenger on Facebook, or are you on that program?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook, man, but I miss so much on there. But definitely, email's the best.
It's just like it's like some Instagram thing where it's like don't take it that serious anymore.
Yeah, it's just I'm so busy. It's hard to keep up with Twitter. I use them for sending out notifications, but really my email's the best way. And if you contact me through the website, it goes to my email.
Your email?
Yeah, and
like with your other guests you have on, what's the best way you message them? Like when
during
they
the
come
show?
On, so.
Yeah, with I usually use
when you have those shows and you have your guests on, how do you
Hangouts.
Contact them to set up
on Hangouts? It's free. Google Hangouts.
Hangouts.
Is free. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Or I can use Zoom. Zoom is also free as well, but you could either one of those would work.
Or so if you ever wanted to have me on the show, I could easily contact you.
Yeah, if you get a hold of me. Yeah, if you get a hold of me on email, then I can we can connect through Hangouts so that we can do the show.
You say your email was in the description?
The website, you can contact me through the website and it comes to my email, or my email's actually on the website. Either way, if you go to uotf.net, you'll find me. And that's in the description if you forget it.
uotf.net?
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Sean. Shane. Keep
going, no
Sean.
problem, buddy.
Sorry.
Oh, no problem at all, man.
All right, have a lovely evening.
All right, you too, buddy. Have a good one.
All right, peace.
Peace. Awesome. All right. Yeah, I got to wrap it up, guys. I could have probably talked to Chris another hour or so. That was awesome. And totally get where he's coming from. It's all these different perspectives and... Oh, hey, Sandy. How are you? You're here in... I was starting to say Cognito, but Cog Franco. Huh? I'm just playing. Awesome. Let's go. Nancy, thanks for calling in. Terry, love all you guys in the chat, and we'll be back tomorrow night. I'll be back with Eileen tomorrow for another wonderful Power of 8 at 8. And enjoy the rest of your evening. Lots of love and light to everybody. See you on the next one.
If you'd like to support the work I do, go to paypal.me/UOTF. Thanks.